Next hour, we are going to talk with a very...
Well, I blew that. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are from the storm-ravaged east coast of Canada. I welcome you to Toast AM with my good friend, David. I blew that.
Yeah. Well, it's good to just, I know you're a person who values honesty and, transparency greatly. So
To
we're just
some
going to
extent.
let everybody know right off the bat that this is going to be a shit show, and just, be welcome. Come join us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a dumpster fire.
Well, since we're already on the dumpster fire, no, you know what? I'm gonna start the way I had planned to start.
Yes,
and I'm gonna.
Oh my goodness!
For those of you who are unaware, in general, I live in, as I said in the introduction, I live in Nova Scotia, Canada now, and I have for a long time, so it's not a new thing anymore. But on Friday, we were scheduled to have this episode of Toast to Toast AM with all of you fine folk who would have been here on Friday. But we had a little thing called Hurricane Fiona come and hit my province and other provinces around us, and obviously other countries on the way up. And I wanted to just to kind of emphasize the seriousness of it. We're playing a little bit on the side some of what's going on now. The place where I live with Shannon, we were hit on Friday night.
Watched? Oh my goodness!
Yeah. So this is some of the footage of what some of the people who around us experienced. Fortunately, Shannon and I live a little bit further inland, and so while it was my very first hurricane. I have yet, being from the prairies and on the west coast, I've yet to experience a hurricane. This was my first one. It was pretty nasty from what I could tell from the wind and all the stuff going on. But we lost power on Friday night, so we were unable to do the stream because didn't need power to stream. And here we are now on Sunday, and just a few hours ago that we got power back. So that was our first chance to, find out actually what was going on outside of our neighborhood. We've been wandering around and commiserating with our neighbors, and these are amazing people here who all pulled together. But fortunately, nothing like what you're seeing on screen is what happened to us, but that is merely good fortune and luck. Fortunately, the house is fine. Everyone is safe. And the fact that we lost power for a few days is not really like it sucked. It was supposed to be longer. There was talk that we wouldn't have power until like Wednesday, maybe. But fortunately, kudos to all the rescue workers, kudos to all the power workers, kudos to everyone who kept it together. And my heart goes out to those who definitely had a much harder time of the storm than we had. But I felt like it was not necessarily going to, let me take this off screen now. So it was not necessarily going to honor anyone extra by canceling the stream even further, even though a lot of people are going through hard times. We know that there's always someone going through hard times, or perhaps you in the audience listening in have had a bad day or a bad week, or it doesn't matter what's happened. We've all got things going on. So we are going to do what we would plan to do all along, and that was to bring some joy to people's lives, and particularly joy to our own lives, if we're to be honest, Dave.
And there's something to be said for that, right?
To our own lives we're going to be looking back in history at the amazing 1999 and bringing back, we're going to party like it's 1999.
Like it's 1999.
Because I have such excellent neighbors. We've been partying, for a few days now because we had no power. So that was all good. But anyway, that's where I am at today. Dave, did you have anything so dramatic going on in your week this week that you want to tell people about, or
I had my parents who live out of town came and they stayed with me for a week. They were here. Not so dramatic as that. It was mostly enjoyable, but it's always a little nerve-wracking having Mom come by and look around the old Castle Dave. Notice it's
Casa.
like, oh, those baseboards aren't quite as clean
Casa
as they
Dave.
could be.
That's
It's like,
right.
No, Mom, they're not. Yeah. Hello, Shannon.
So Shannon sent a $2 super chat. Thank you, Shannon. Apparently there are 3 phones around the fire listening. So the fire that I left, apparently if I leave the party, there's nothing better to do than to
listen
watch
to
me
you.
continue.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Best wishes to you, Shannon, and everyone there. Hope everyone's doing well. It sounds like you are. I'm glad you guys avoided the worst of the storm, and hopefully better days are ahead.
Exactly. So I didn't mean to didn't hear. Were you completed with your tale?
Yeah, that's it.
I
mean, it's pretty minuscule in the face of what you've gone through.
Right, so
this week, so we'll move on.
I lost power for a few days.
Yeah.
Could have been much worse, and you had some extra parental disapproval right in your face as opposed to from a distance. So
from a distance, we had a lot of good times too. It wasn't
excellent.
all. It wasn't all.
No, absolutely. I love Dave's parents. They're amazing people.
Yeah.
All right, Dave.
Yes, sir.
So we did a proper cheers, right? So cheers to the people to those who survived Hurricane Fiona.
Everybody who made it through Hurricane Fiona.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Now around here, as you guys know, I've recently gone full time on YouTube, so this is what I do for a living now. So we got to pay the bills, Dave. I can't just be here just to entertain you and me.
Nope.
So now Dave has taken over the responsibility for getting sponsorships for this show.
I have. Yep. Yeah.
And
so we got a brand new sponsor.
We got tonight. A sponsor. Tell me about the sponsor. Who do we got?
Are you tired of having to treat your hands for second-degree burns every time you enjoy fresh coffee? Have the constant screams during tea time become too annoying? Well, try a mug. With a mug, you can pour a hot beverage into a ceramic container with a handle instead of pouring it directly into your hands. By keeping the incredibly hot liquid away from your tender flesh, the average mug user experiences nearly a 10-fold increase in the enjoyment factor of coffee, teas, and even some soups. So don't wait. Pick up a mug today. I will point out that we did receive some free mugs from Mugs. So, and we've been loving it. Paul, have you been enjoying your mug?
I've been enjoying my mug. I was unaware that this was part of a sponsorship.
It absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
If this is real, I've been using mugs for a long time.
And I want to say any members of your channel here can use the code TOAST2TOAST. That's TOST, the number 2, TOAST, to get a additional smaller mug with their mug from Mugs.
So
Mugs.
Okay, so I'm not gonna. We're on air, so I'm not gonna dispute.
Mm-hmm.
But were we paid, or did you just get a free mug from someone?
I mean, they've assured me the mug is on the way.
Okay, well, we will have a business meeting for next time. But thank you for the sponsor. If it's real, thank you to Mugs.
Thank you, Mugs. It's going to revolutionize everything, Paul. I'm going to tell you, because I'm a 4 or 5 coffee a day kind of guy, and like you build up calluses after a while, But it's tough.
Okay,
it's been tough.
Well, cheers to Mugs. I feel like maybe shot glasses would be better for this particular show, but mugs are good. I like mugs.
All right. They weren't willing to pay us though.
Okay, Dave, do you remember 1999?
Yes.
Do you remember that in 1999, everyone on planet Earth was afraid that their computer was going to break?
Yeah, and the world in general. I remember it vividly. Yeah.
So the stream we are going to listen to tonight.
Yep.
The Coast to Coast episode that we were listening to was from, I believe, June of 1999.
Okay.
And for those of you this is our 3rd episode now. For those of you who've been watching the episodes, you may know, or you'll learn from me now, that the first hour of Art Bell's Coast to Coast AM show is taking callers. before the guest. So there's callers after the guest, and maybe we'll get to that. And there's callers before who just they say whatever they want to say, and Art encourages them.
It's a radio show, yeah. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, and those of you who are watching the show know that I like to give a little bit of a sample of what the people were saying. So I just want to say that pretty much the whole first hour of this episode was just people in June of 1999 calling up, telling them any random thing that happened at their bank. And attributing this to Y2K.
Y2K.
So I because the episode goes heavily into Y2K, I was feeling very Y2K nostalgic.
Yeah,
I was a software engineer at the time, and
so it would have featured.
And heavily. I mean, frankly, it paid for my first house. Whole Y2K thing going on because that was just every software engineer in the world was working.
It was a legitimate problem. It was
right.
It was a real thing. Yeah.
We're not going to have as many intro callers this time, even though I know it's fun, and we'll get into that. But the episode is full of Y2K delights, so that nostalgia you will just have to. For those of you who lived through it, you can just remember it in your head what it was like to live in those times. And for those of you who don't, well, I cut out a few of them because again, it was literally just people like, well, I went to the bank, and they said that I owed more money than I thought I did. Y2K. Yeah. It's like, no, that's not. That's just you don't know how to do that.
Not how any of this works.
So, anyhow, so we are.
I assume Heathen Queen's referring to me. It's tough to say.
Where are we? Probably. Oh, so I missed some super chats. Did I?
Super chats. Yeah.
Okay, and now, so for those of you who don't know, and thank you for those who have contributed. That is how we keep the lights on here. Assuming unless this mug thing takes off,
unless the mug money
keep the lights on
comes out.
So we also, for the first episode, we're
Joe
cheersing to everyone. Now you have to impress us more than just the super chat for us to cheers. But to Joe, so glad you and Shannon got power back. Glad to see you guys on here. Thank you so much.
I thought I saw a notice before Joe Hill's a new member today. I thought I
welcome, Joe.
If that's the case, we're glad to see you here, Joe.
I'm not sure who that was. So I'm trying to find the Heathen Queen. I need to figure. Oh, there's another one. Joe became a member. Welcome.
Yeah, there you go,
Joe. There we go. Perfect. And here we have a promise from Heathen Queen. Oh, and we have another,
which is good because I got a job.
This is not true, Heathen Queen. You're forgetting other times, but that's okay. We all have confirmation bias.
Snap.
All right. With that, let's
very interesting person. His name.
Let's get into this episode. And okay, so I will let Art introduce it, and you and I will comment as need be.
Do we need to do a preamble about Art? I mean, this is the third episode. I don't know.
Do you want to give the 15-second version?
We'll give a 15-second version just in case there's Joe. I don't know.
I'm sure there are new people. Yeah. Welcome to Toast to Toast.
Welcome to Toast to Toast. So this is a show where we listen to Coast AM, old episodes. It was just an old AM radio show created by and originally hosted by a man named Art Bell. It was a late night. Oh boy, we're getting all kinds of super chats now. It was a late night AM radio talk show in my home city. It started at midnight. I think it would be right around there for everybody, and ran for like 3 or 4 hours at night. And it dealt with the paranormal, the occult, aliens, conspiracy theories, anything that was, I don't know what you would, is there a label you could slap on the whole
boy, I would say
counter. Yeah.
I always say that if like Fox Mulder had a radio show,
yes, it would.
This is what it would be.
It would be this, and it was. There was nothing else quite like it.
There was nothing else quite like it.
Bell, he was fantastic, and there's no one else quite like it.
And the show still runs to this day.
It runs today.
Yep. You know, if you go driving tonight, you could turn on our AM station and find the new host working away on the show. Exactly. So that's roughly where we're at. But we love the old Art Bell episodes.
Yes.
And because Apologia is a former Christian, taking a look at the claims of Christians, we are at least starting the runoff with episodes that are at least tangentially related to something roughly corresponding to Christianity in one way or another.
Hear in Sunday school.
I think that of the 3 episodes that we've done so far, most Christians that I know would say, well, that's a weird person.
Yes.
That we are in no way saying that this is what is commonly considered to be Christian thought, but these are people who are professing to be Christians and sharing their thoughts. So from that, well, let's just cover the super chats we've already got going. Clarification, drinks for super chats today, or are you two going to dial it back for the sake of our livers? Yes. So for those of you who didn't see the second episode,
first,
our doctors,
yeah, that's right, yeah,
medical personnel became involved and decided that perhaps we needed to be more selective, shall we say?
So we were up at 11. We need to be maybe like at a 6.5.
Right.
So that's, yeah.
So that's the clarification. So Timothy, the thing is now you need to super chat, but also impress us in some way or another.
And
but
then
so I
drink for your amusement.
For returning to the show and coming back after what you saw, which was a bit of a debacle. Cheers.
We'll give you a toast.
Mm-hmm.
Just maybe not a whole shot every time.
No, that's right. And that was tequila, and I drank a bottle, and that was just bad news.
Matt.
All right. Matt, what's up, guys? I'm hopeful for this one. Been loving the series so far. So I am excited about this one as well. This is a good episode. I'm anxious to get into it. Let's see if we have to cover any other business. Oh, we have one more. I don't always super chat, but when I do, it's because Shannon Q tells me to. Mrs. Parker, welcome to the show. Appreciate you. And Mrs. Parker, send me a message because that thing that we talked about before, I want to know if you're still in. So that's a coded message from me to you. All right. Let's get to...
I'm not going to say what I was thinking of. Anyways.
All right. Let's get to Art Bell. And again, the first hour is edited. So I'm not, now we don't listen to Mrs. Parker. She won't play my game. LOL. Just kidding. Well, nor should she. No one's obligated to play your games. But super tight energy, hard energy. I made you a mod last time, so hopefully you're doing a good job this time. Joe Hill said into super chats so you can buy a MFing generator. This is true. If we would have had a generator, we could have streamed. As I lived in a hurricane-prone state, I'm doing my part. Well, thank you, Joe Hill. Appreciate you so much. And for that, I give you... Dave doesn't have to, but I give you a cheers.
I will. I'm not going to make you drink alone, Paul.
Perfect. All right, so
we're not even started yet. This glass was literally full to here of this is just rum. There is no mix.
Okay.
This is
Heathen Queen.
I gotta slow
drink,
down.
Paul, or live with my abuse. I will drink because your abuse is pointed and scathing, and I'm not sure my psyche can handle.
I'd like a little bit, but that's topic for another day.
So Dave,
yes,
Heathen Queen, Dave is inviting your scorn. So I don't know how that exactly works, but all right. This show, for those of you who normally watch my channel, this is a different type of show, as you may have guessed. So we're kind of having fun on a Sunday night. Yeah, let's get into it.
Next hour, we are going to talk with a very, very, very interesting person. His name is William Henry, and what he says is that America...
The pregnant pauses are, I think, partially what makes art, but it's also the kind of radio you can't do anymore. I was actually trying to edit the episode because he includes just copyright music anywhere he wants. I'm just putting in a copyrighted song, so I have to, in order to be on YouTube,
get away with what he did.
Right, and that's, I think, partially why when people post the Coast to Coast stuff, they get taken down. I got smart enough after the first episode to figure out.
To be fair, I don't know. Like AM radio stations used to have access to.
Oh, they had license, so they could. An AM station with impunity could play Wham! Wake Me Up Before You Go to Go Go every.
Yeah, but we can't play it on our.
But we on YouTube cannot. But now that I'm looking at the waveforms of his file, his pregnant pauses are delicious.
Oh yeah,
but we're going. I just fill them with nonsense.
Do you know who Tom Snyder is? He used to he'd be on after Letterman.
Okay, but do you know what I just did there? I'm like, I mixed Tom Wopat and John Snyder together in my head. I'm like, that's a Duke boy.
That's very different.
So I am old let's carry on.
Tom Snyder, so he'd have the talk show after Letterman. Well, and different people. So we had like a late night talk show. And it'd be just him.
That's right.
And a guest at just like a table in like a black background set for like a 2-hour conversation. It was kind of like before long form, podcasts or anything like that existed. This was the thing where it's like, oh yeah, I know this person. And then you don't have to narrow it down to like a 10-minute soundbite for TV or radio. Yep. This person gets a chance to talk at length about whatever issue. So you could get into a much more complicated, but he would do that too. Tom Snyder, he would have these like big long pauses, going. And anyways, I loved Tom Snyder.
Anyway,
it was a great show.
What I heard in this long pause is that Art is not so sure that today's guest necessarily is coming with as many facts.
Not firing on all cylinders.
But
has a secret destiny. And he goes on to say that with regard to America, he came to America 2,000 years ago to spread a secret message and to hide a device. And he's returning this summer. Now, if that doesn't grab you, if you're a even semi-regular listener, and that does not grab you by the privates and yank at you a little bit, then you haven't been listening. You're beginning to mean something to you that, boy, a lot of people talking about.
Did it grab you by the privates?
I mean...
Anyway, carry on.
July of 99.
And yank a little bit, Paul.
What in the world do you think's going to happen? Well, he returns.
Now, unfortunately, part of what's going to seem silly is because he's putting forth prophecies that were to happen at the turn of like when 1999 turned to 2000.
Mm-hmm.
We all, by virtue of, even if you weren't born yet back then, virtue of us all existing, we are aware that these prophecies didn't actually come to pass. So it's a little bit unfair for us to be putting
haven't come to pass yet,
but he gives specific dates that I know that it's going to seem like we're just it's a little bit low-hanging fruit to bash on someone who said that the world was going to end in 1999. I get it, but it's the journey, it's the friends we made along the way.
Absolutely,
that's right.
Yeah.
This summer, William Henry will be here at the top of the next hour to tell us who he is, what the device is, and what's coming in July. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Yeah, hi. You caught me by surprise. Let me turn the radio off.
All right. Well, never be.
All right. Before the first caller, we get a super chat, and here on this, normally I save super chats to the end during Toast to Toast. We just feel free to interrupt what we're doing.
Yeah, it's probably not that important, anyways.
So, friend, drink big, and I'll drag you. So
don't think I didn't notice you throwing up that comment about your superhero curl either. Just apparently nothing. Yeah, you vain.
So you're the friend. So you have to drink big. And my dog, I'm sorry about my dog. My dog is aware of a cat.
I mean,
all right,
you could call me David. That's fine. But
Dave, yeah, you're the you're my. Yeah, this is Paul and Dave's show. You're not the plus one here.
Yeah.
You got the sponsor maybe,
but I'm not. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to say no to Heathen Queen.
That's right. All right,
by your command.
Surprise! I mean, if you're dialing, there's always some possibility you might.
Okay.
Where are you, sir?
I'm in Houston. John.
Yes, John.
What I've never heard on the show before is how actors or celebrities die in threes all the time.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
Or at least it seems to be true. It's either one of two things is so. Number one, it is true and they die in threes. Or number two, we have, I mean, let's face it, people are dying all the time, right?
It's probably like seeing that 1111 number all the time.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Like, bing, bing, bing. Like, how do you call in? Well, there's clearly people die in threes. Yeah. Unless we're just noticing it in threes. But let's talk about it.
That's an old superstition, right? The trouble comes in threes. You've probably heard that before.
Of course. But what I enjoy
if you can always just count a bad thing that's happened until you hit 3, and it's like, well, there it is. It's like probably another bad thing is going to happen to you in your life, and then I guess that means 2 more bad things are going to happen after, which is also true. Yeah.
Usually people aren't so self-aware as to actually identify what's really going on, and that is confirmation
But Art did.
bias.
Yeah, like, or maybe people are just dying all the time,
Anyway,
That's right. I mean, people are dying all the time. It's a continuing process.
It's like Iron Eyes Cody died yesterday, so I guarantee you another one's going to die this week or at least next week.
That's right. And we put three together. But then on the other side of the coin, maybe it's real. Somebody needs to do some research. What do you think?
Yeah, really. It's like they need three at a time up there or something or down
But they are doing research now about men and women who are married, who love each other dearly, and they seem to die within very short periods of time.
That's whether they're old or young?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, because I've always heard, when they're up in their 80s and stuff, when one dies, the other one goes.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul, we've lost your audio.
I muted for my dog.
There, yes. How did Bella do with the storm?
Bella hated the storm.
Yeah,
as you can imagine. Yeah, no, that was not her favorite night.
But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to do.
Thank you, Phil. We'll hold on for the generator fund. We appreciate. Hopefully, next time this happens.
For $19.99, I'll have it.
No, that's right. That's a cheers.
Oh my God, this is cheap scotch, and this is harsh.
So the caller called in and said, "There's definitely something to this celebrities dying in 3." And then Arch says, "Well, what about when couples die together?" And the caller's like, "Nah, that's bullshit. That's nothing."
Art, stop with your crackpot chicanery. Also, shout out to DQ for throwing Mage of the Ascension. Great game. You won't have any clue what it is because you're not a super nerd like me, but I know what he's talking about, and it's fantastic.
I'm not a super nerd, but I have the curl.
Yeah, rub it in, furball.
For Mugs R Us. Appreciate. Yes, please, and click on the link. Presumably, Dave, did you put a affiliate link or something in there?
I didn't. I'll see what I can do. And also, don't get confused. Mugs R Us is the competition. This is just Mugs.
This is just Mugs.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Mugs.
To you by Mugs.
I would imagine that would be more likely.
Right.
So statistically, they're going to need to show a bunch, but they do think they're on the track of that, and there might be something to it,
All right, well, thanks.
Okay, you take care. And if people die of broken hearts,
just like Padme did in Star Wars.
Yes.
She died.
We could easily spend the first hour of this show tonight going off on a horrible.
She died of a broken heart.
Died of a broken heart. Yeah. Not complications in childbirth. Not just.
That was the first day where I considered not working at Lucasfilm anymore.
Yeah, she died. She was too sad. Just too sad.
All right.
That can happen. I think it can happen because you give up. And your mind really does control, to some degree anyway, your body. And you just give up and you don't want to live. And once you don't want to live, then I think it's a whole lot easier for something to get you.
Hello, Art.
Yes.
I'm in Hawaii. My wife thinks she's figured out what crop circles are caused by.
What? What does she?
So again, if you're watching, this is the pace of the show. It's just like, okay, we were talking about celebrities.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Then we were talking about
crop circles.
The propensity for married couples who have been married for a very long time for one to pass shortly after the other, which is a true thing.
So for those, I don't think it got teased well enough. There will be Stargates.
Yes.
And there will be Jesus.
Yeah.
So for those, if you tuned in for that, that's coming. I
think we should, oh man, we should have put in the title card Pearly Gates SG1.
Oh, that would have been better.
Damn it. You've got a time machine, right?
I can't believe I'm not in this live fucking wow. All right.
You know what?
Well,
Ethan Queen, backseat. All right. You're not. I'm here. Just get used to it. You're a wonderful person. I'm
Baseline.
Forward to meeting you.
Well, I've never heard the theory till she expressed it, and that she thinks it's coming from under the soil, either some kind of microbe or bacteria, and it's an attempt to communicate with those of us who live on top.
You mean it's bug talk?
Bug talk, you got it. It's
Bug talk.
And of course, they haven't quite figured out what language we speak, so they're still speaking bug.
Yeah, bug talk is really as good an explanation as any when you think about it. If there,
I mean, do we want to talk about bug crop circles?
No, we could be.
Okay.
That's the thing. If we really go off on every one of these calls, like,
yeah, I know. So.
But in a lot of ways, this is the best part of the Coast to Coast show. Is the calls.
But the fun part is the conceit is not like, hey, are there any crop circle things that you think are veridical or that like really happened, whatever? No, it's just like crop circles are real. Let's talk about whether it's bugs or not.
Yeah.
All right.
If they did have some form of intelligence that we didn't know about,
right?
How would they communicate that to human beings?
Well, exactly.
Well, they might do exactly what you just said.
Right. They wouldn't go on the internet. They'd go on the interwheat.
I have no argument for that.
Okay, sir. I tried to get it in on predictions because I'm sure that by the end of the year, it'll certainly be a known, accepted fact, and I'm looking forward to hearing it in the major media.
I assume you remembered at the end of 1999 when all the major media outlets were reporting about how bugs were speaking through crop circles.
Oh, I
no
remember
no one gave this guy any credit.
And then I think that's when J-Lo and Ben Affleck got together, and it kind of drowned it out in the news cycle.
Was that the year Geely came out?
It might be. I'm a little iffy on dates, but I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, my friend, take care. It is every bit as good a theory as anybody else's about crop circles. Nope. Bug talk. That the bugs are trying to communicate with mankind. Well, if that's true, what are they saying? Maybe the crop circles mean nothing more than breadcrumbs, please. Something like that.
Oh. I thought maybe he was going to say that maybe they don't mean anything, but that's all right.
No. Oh, no. Art's never, ever going to say that.
Well, no. So I've been listening to a lot of the old episodes, and I'm coming from this from a different angle as a skeptic now. I was a religious person when I originally loved the show, and I think I was more prone to want a lot of this stuff to be true. And there was confirmation bias that way. But I did hear Art talking about his own show. With George Carlin, actually, and he was describing that what he tried to do was he didn't believe everyone, but what he tried to do was give every caller and every guest a chance to present their story with basically steelman themselves. He tried to help them to make the best possible case for whatever it was they were doing. And I kind of see that now, like when okay, you're talking about bugs. Let me help you try and make the best case as much as I can.
This chat's taking a definite turn here, Paul.
Uh-oh. Wow. Okay. So this is, we will allow everyone to read this on screen for themselves because I like monetization. And stupid horror energy.
Oh my goodness, what's this going to cost me? You two, I don't know.
So cheers. This doesn't seem crop circle related. I think they're having their own chat, Dave.
Okay, no, I'm not going to make the circle joke I was going to.
No,
right. Now this is going to be really interesting.
Keep you monetized.
Now, who is William Henry? Among other things, William Henry
had
a private meeting with Mother Teresa just months before her death. There he gathered some insight that he is going to share with you.
That's too wonderful. Okay.
Mother Teresa, of course, did she have special insight into
what Jesus was up to with the Stargates?
I see. She was there 2,000 years ago, apparently. Who's your buddy? Heathen Queen always gets away. Just ask Dr. Josh. Well, apparently Dr. Josh did something embarrassing on his stream, and we will not be doing the same on our stream tonight.
Yeah, we did it in the first episode.
That's true. Yeah. All right.
He is going to discuss the mission of the King of Terror. How Steven Spielberg's films encode the return of the peacemaker, the role Y2K plays. Scam. Scam, he says. And so here he comes. William Henry, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Art. Hello, everybody.
Hi, William.
Hey,
William, what do you think? Should I get a black cape and put a big M on it so that I could feed the media?
I love it. You know, we need to feed the media to somebody. I mean, it's not just the American media. I caught a story out of the London Observer the other day.
This is so funny to me because it's like just fashionable, of course, to just trash talk the media in 2022.
Yes.
And this was 1999. Like, it's the same complaint.
Yeah.
That was just hammering this material. I mean, they talked about the King of Terror, and the word cult was spread throughout it. And this problem seems to me, back at least to that Heaven's Gate fiasco, when you had people at Newsweek magazine writing in kind of a yuck style that those people said, oh, they're going to a star called Sirius. Can you believe it? And
wait, was Art eye-rolling the Heavens, like calling the Heaven's Gate people a cult?
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't remember this King of Terror.
So, King of Terror is I know because I've listened to Head a little bit. I haven't listened to it all because I try to keep it fresh, but I listened to Head a little bit. King of Terror is this guest's what he likes to call Jesus, so that people don't think that he's weird or crazy.
Okay.
He likes to say that the person who's coming back after 2,000 years is the King of Terror.
Okay. So he's not like there's some kind of terrorist mastermind that's behind the.
No, this isn't the
the
Mandarin or something.
No, so he's literally talking about Jesus.
He's talking about Jesus. So we'll get there.
Okay, we're good.
it's like they've never ever heard of Sirius and the role that it's played in religions throughout the world. And you just got to wonder what's going on with these people.
Indeed, on my website right now, Sea SETI, which is Dr. Greer's organization, is lambasted as being a cult, a millennium cult. I guess I could be either Mr. Millennium or Master Millennium, but either way, that'd be Eminem. That wouldn't be good.
That works. And as a theme song, might I propose Roy Orbison's Running Scared?
Oh, that'd be good.
Because that's what they're doing. They're running scared.
Yep. All right. Well, listen, maybe there's some reason to be scared. If I'm reading your material correctly, let's just start right out. I mean, this statement you've made, he came to America 2,000 years ago to spread a secret message and to hide a device. He's returning this summer. Well.
And this would be 1999, of course.
Did you say this was July 1999?
I believe it's June of
June of 1999. Okay, so it's just So
yep. So this was imminent, the more imminent than when Jesus said, like, people, you guys won't pass away. This is like in a month or whatever. Yeah.
King of Terror does sound like a sick band name, Rachel. I almost guarantee that there's got to be a band named King of Terror, like a metal band somewhere. You would think, right? Like there isn't. Paul. And
I'm sorry about my puppy. My puppy's very distracted by a cat that she's not allowed to go eat.
He's not allowed to go eat. He's very sad about it. Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you're torturing your dog, but actually
I'm saving a cat.
The internet loves cats, so
that's right.
We're good.
Well. We're talking about Jesus.
We are talking about, more than likely, the Essene teacher of righteousness. We all know that Jesus was an Essene, and
otherwise known as, to the masses, Jesus. You're saying Jesus is coming back.
Yes. I'm also saying, in the Essene tradition,
he wanted to be cute about it, I think, and let that play on a little longer. But Art was just like, "You're talking about, we got ratings, we got sponsors to cover here. You're just talking about Jesus, right?"
Yeah.
And again, Jesus was in the scene. They were anticipating the arrival of not one Messiah, but two Messiahs working.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that's what he's known for.
Yeah.
Together,
we all know two things: the light comes on the refrigerator when you open the door, and Jesus was in the scene. That's
branch of David. And
you ever heard about that water to wine thing? Oh, you mean that the Essene guy? Yeah.
And then another figure they called the interpreter of the word. In other words, a person that would disseminate, explain, and and interpret the teachings of the Christ or Messiah. This relationship between the two figures began to emerge in the Dead Sea Scrolls, which of course have been covered up by many mainstream Judeo-Christian scholars because it pries open this relationship and gives us a peek behind the inner workings of the Essenes. And
fun fact, Dave.
Yes.
When were the Dead Sea Scrolls written?
I believe it was like from 100 to like 200 AD in that stretch. I don't have exact numbers, but it was quite a while after. Like, it's a big range because there's a lot of stuff in there.
Well, I will try to dispute that a little bit. So as best I know,
I would 100% bow to you. I'm sure you know better than I.
The Dead Sea Scrolls were all written like several hundred years BC, not AD. Like,
oh, really? Okay, so I'm totally wrong on that.
There's nothing in the Dead Sea Scrolls about Jesus, because Jesus was not born when the Dead Sea Scrolls were buried, at least as best as any scholarship can tell you. So I'm not necessarily buying it. Drink, Paul, or greet this chokehold. Well, I will. As much as delightful as it sounds, there's no flights to where I live now, so I will just drink to save you.
If I drink, can I get choked?
That's what you do on your own time is your own thing.
Indeed, the scrolls are believed to be full of sensitive details about the Essenes, their life at their home in Qumran, and the exact nature of their secrets. And these secrets revolve around...
yes.
What's coming in July?
Uh-oh.
Do you know what an Essene is? Because I don't.
Well, ask the Google machine. So I am pretty sure that Essene...
I will Google this.
I believe it's a sect of Judaism. Much like the Levitical
Sadducees,
Jews.
Pharisees.
Yeah, right.
It's the ESSENE, it looks like. Oh my. You really want that cat. They were a mystic Jewish sect. Let's see. Jewish sect during the Second Temple period that flourished from the 2nd century BCE till the 1st century Common Era, or AD, way you prefer it. So there we go. Okay, so there is.
So I accidentally reset. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if our audio is going to come back exactly where it was. Apologies to the audience. We'll see.
But two messiahs working together. Jesus from the...
I think do I really need to rewind?
Oh, see, well, it turns out we could have just asked Heathen Queen. She knows who these.
Oh, there you go.
Not just the American media. I caught a story out of the London Observer the other day that was just hammering this material. I mean, they talked about the King of Terror, and the word cult was spread throughout it. And this problem seems to me, back at least to that Heaven's Gate fiasco, when you had people at Newsweek magazine writing in kind of a yuck style that those people said, oh, they're going to a star called Sirius. Can you believe it? And it's like they've never ever heard of Sirius and the role that it's played in religions throughout the world. And you just got to wonder what's going on with these people.
Indeed, on my website right now, Sea SETI, which is Dr. Greer's organization, is lambasted as being a cult, a millennium cult. I guess I could be either Mr. Millennium or Master Millennium, but either way, that'd be Eminem. That wouldn't be good.
That works. And as a theme song, might I propose Roy Orbison's Running Scared?
Oh, that'd be good.
Because that's what they're doing. They're running scared.
I rewound too far.
All right.
My
apologies.
Listen,
maybe there's some reason to be scared if I'm reading your material correctly. Let's just start right out. I mean, this statement you've made, he came to America 2,000 years ago to spread a secret message and to hide a device. He's returning this summer. Well. We're talking about Jesus? I mean,
we are talking about, more than likely, the Essene teacher of righteousness. We all know that Jesus was an Essene. And
otherwise known as, to the masses, Jesus. You're saying Jesus is coming back.
Yes. I'm also saying, see, in the Essene tradition, again, Jesus was in the scene. They were anticipating the arrival of.
I'm just going to turn this down while I read.
Yeah, we can just let it keep playing because we've heard all of this. Yeah,
Essenes were one of the four main Jewish sects mentioned by Josephus, namely Essenes, Pharisees, Sadducees, and Zealots.
Oh, there you go. See, I'd heard of the other three,
wow.
but I'd never heard of
So,
before. Yeah.
as the first super chat to actually teach us something.
Yes. Jay Victor, we salute you.
Jay Victor, cheers.
Sea Scrolls, which of course have been covered up by many mainstream.
Oh, we're back to the Dead Sea Scrolls. Perfect.
Because it pries open this relationship and gives us a peek.
What a pleasant and educational
the
super
inner
chat.
workings of the Essenes. And
you can learn something from him, Heathen Queen.
So does anyone in the chat know whether I'm right about the Dead Sea Scrolls?
But when they were written?
Oh, shoot. I did the exact same thing again. I'm trying to turn up the volume, and I changed the timeline because StreamYard sucks. Okay.
And the exact nature of
we're just going to listen from wherever it is now.
And these secrets revolve around the name Qumran, their home, which translates into the secret of the pillars. And it turns out that the Essenes and Jesus and indeed his partner John the Baptist are believed to have been in possession of these striking ancient teachings, considering the construction and placement of doorways leading to other worlds.
Yeah, and I know we're going to get quite a photograph we've got up on the web right now of one of those doorways, I suspect. You imagine it is, right?
What I'm presenting is the device that's called a pillar of Osiris, a tula tree. There's numerous names for it, and I believe that this is the device.
You nodded in.
According to Wikipedia, for what it's worth, it looks like you're both right and wrong. So apparently texts within the Dead Sea Scrolls date anywhere from 3 centuries before BCE up to a century after.
Oh, okay. So we were both right and we were both wrong.
Both wrong. Although it's all kind of it's hard to say for sure. But
all right. So those, in case you missed what he was just saying, Jesus and John the Baptist were well known to be setting up pillars. That's not what they're known for.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so they were setting up pillars just like out in
apparently
the Canadian countryside.
I guess so.
Okay.
Device that they were using to open these gateways.
Yeah. Who was Jesus, William? Was he the Son of God, as we know it, Big G?
Yes, definitely, without question. I mean, the people that question is debated, but from my mythological research as well as what the scriptures say, yeah, I believe that he was the Son of God.
Son of God, the creator of all the.
You lost your audio again, Paul.
Ah.
Oh, now you're back.
My dog. I'm sorry about my dog.
Yeah,
I have no other adults here to help me with the dog tonight, so my apologies. So he's just getting. I love how he's very methodologically getting this stuff on record, like to make this guy. He doesn't get to weasel his way out of it later, which I love. So he's you're talking about Jesus, right? And then he's like, yeah, but and he's the Son of God, right? You're not like coming up with some other side Jesus to back out of this later.
Jesus works at the car park.
That's right. All right, I'm gonna put you on. I'm gonna put you on the main screen, and you can carry on here.
We know.
Correct.
Why would the Son of God place a device here?
Because these traditions, the Son of God, this is where I'm going to throw a little bit of a controversy into
Actually, to hide, to be specific, to hide a device, right?
Right. This device that I'm describing and we'll soon see on the webpage there was passed around the ancient world. It existed before the time of Jesus, and in fact, it appears it's another.
Well, if there's any time to drink, Shannon, it's after surviving a hurricane.
No, wait a minute. This device existed before Jesus?
Yes.
Then where did it come from?
More than likely,
this is the M. Night Shyamalan version.
A fan of Zechariah.
What a twist! Oh, you're still muted.
Because he existed before he did. What makes it?
The device existed before Jesus,
even though
Yes.
If you accept the Bible, of course, nothing existed before Jesus. But
that's splitting hairs. I'm
oh, I see.
willing to grant him before Jesus was born in Bethlehem.
Oh, you're talking about like earthly Jesus, not like
I assume he
John
means like
Jesus.
before.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Right,
Maybe I'm wrong.
enough.
Maybe he means like this is older than the universe. I guess we'll let him explain. But that's what I'm taking him to mean. It existed in the world before.
So prior to the first
33
century.
BCE or whatever.
Okay,
You
gotcha.
know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, because I guess he's talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Qumran. So we'll give him that benefit of the doubt, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
As Sitchin's works,
This guy's not
Zechariah
crazy,
traces
Paul.
the
Come on.
origin.
He's not the universe.
crazy. They're not older than the universe.
Yeah.
How can you have a gate?
If you're not going to take this seriously, Mr. Ends, then I'm afraid we're going to have to curtail this discussion.
Yeah, it's fair though. How could the gate be older than the thing between?
You don't
That
know
makes
that
sense.
it's a gate. You're putting words in this man's mouth again.
Oh, that's right. Right. So far, these are just pillars.
Just pillars. It's a device and pillars, just normal Jewish stuff that you would find in any messianic.
Your local
scene.
Qumran, if that's
Yeah.
a sentence that makes sense. I don't know if it does.
Oh, thank you, Shannon.
Yeah, my beard is nothing.
Well, but you got the superhero curl. I got a.
That's true. I got
You know how some guys
and-
drive SUVs. And I grow a beard to compensate. It's
This is really just humidity, is what's going on here.
yeah. That looks good on you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Of this device to the planet Nibiru. It was brought to Earth after the cataclysm of Tiamat, and it was used to channel souls to the Earth plane. In other words, it was used to open up a gateway first, and then used as a device to channel souls into the Earth plane.
Now, by that you mean when a baby's born and spanked and takes that first breath and or at conception, depending on your political view, the soul is dispatched through this gateway?
Originally it was, yes.
We just,
then
Paul, you got to
they would use this device.
You thought, would I miss Tiamat?
Well, okay, so we just brought up Nibiru, aka Planet X, right?
Yep.
The Tiamat cataclysm, souls being diverted. I had to catch it. I couldn't remember if it was to or from the Earth plane. He just like in 2 sentences just threw out like a whole whack of just like crazy ass shit. And,
Okay.
yeah. You might want to rewind it. Just like in the most offhand memory. Yeah. But,
no, I don't think we got a lot of way to go, so we don't need to rewind. But just for everyone's edification, Planet X is
the Nibiru is there's a bunch of names for it. It's the supposed so there's a couple ways. It's either a planet that's beyond Pluto. So there's like at the time they said the
right.
Yes, there's another large, like Jupiter-sized planet that's orbiting far outside of the orbit of Pluto, and it's attributed to a whole bunch of things. It's the reason that there's sort of fairly periodic mass extinctions because this planet upsets the Oort cloud at regular intervals of the gravity and sends a whole shower of meteors and stuff.
Right.
Or that maybe it used to be in the solar system and life evolved and it got moved out because of some kind of gravitic, it had a close encounter with Jupiter or something else and got slingshotted out of the solar system.
And back then Pluto was still a planet, so people weren't freaked out about.
Yeah, and so some people call it it's either a giant planet or a dwarf star or a bunch of other things.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
There's actual legitimate scientific evidence for something like this, that there may actually be something fairly large orbiting way out there that we can't see because it's too dim and too far, but there's enough sort of like gravitic evidence.
Yeah, that's my understanding is that there's gravity evidence.
And there's been an ongoing hunt to try and find this thing but it may not be there. It's also one of those things where like, well, but maybe it's just something we don't really get. This is just one possible interpretation of the data we have, is that there could be something in the extreme edges of the solar system. The sun might be a binary system because you can have stars that are so dim that we wouldn't really see them. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. But that's Nibiru, Planet X. Is like there's another planet, a large planet somewhere out. And some people say, oh, no, there's life on it or robots or whatever. There's a really good Doctor Who episode from way back in the day. It's where the Cybermen were originally supposed to have come from.
Cool. Can you still hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Because yeah, my computer just said, "Hey, your mic's off," and it isn't. So anyway,
No, your computer's
super
a liar.
chats. Heathen Queen, once again, I'm not here for either of you. Provide offerings. I feel like that is probably
Clearly we're here for you. I feel like it seems like
most of few of the people are here for us. So I'm not sure. We're the only thing on YouTube right now, is my understanding.
That's we're the first people on YouTube.
It's one at a time. That's why I like to schedule it right at midnight.
We have to book these months in advance. That's why.
That's right, because then we're the thing that's on YouTube, and when we're done, the next thing can go on YouTube, which is I'm not sure what it is. You can check that out later. Joe Hill, once again, I'm providing offerings for Heathen Queen, Vishanti, and Shannon because they're lovely. That is true.
You know what,
Cheers
Joe?
To both.
I am all in favor of you providing offerings for all of those lovely people, so long as you keep paying us to do it. Wonderful to have.
But also, all of those people are also smarter than us, so that's really disheartening. But that's okay.
If I started keeping track of all the people smarter than me, Paul,
that's right. It's a long list.
It's a long list.
All right. Okay. So
I saw a goddamn car park, Paul. That's
during special circumstances to channel very specific, in particular, the Christ soul to the earth plane.
Whew. That's some device, but the implication of that.
That's some device.
Yeah.
That's like if Tim Cook was like, "Oh, but there's one more thing."
Yeah.
If you needed, we can bring down divine souls and implant them into 14-year-old ladies who are willing to be pregnant for you.
Yeah. Did you see the Onion article a couple weeks ago that iPhone will no longer be compatible with the human hand? Tim Cook announced.
You shut up about Apple. They're amazing. Everything they do is
outdated, clumsy.
Yeah. It's huge.
The implication is that aliens or the Anunnaki, I believe.
Yep.
If we're talking about Sitchin,
right.
Preceded the
what?
We're really hitting like all of the highlights. The Anunnaki are coming in now. This is like a real conspiracy. Keep going.
Okay.
But this guy's he's casting a wide net, bringing it on. He's trying to do the grand.
So this would have been a good
universal unifying theory of everything here. Yeah.
This would have been a good night to play conspiracy bingo. Would have been a good one for tonight.
The Rand Corporation in association with the reverse vampires.
Creator himself preceded the creator.
Not necessarily. Probably worked as agents of the creator would be a better way to view it.
But now wait a minute. Now you're saying that the device was here before Jesus walked on Earth.
Yes.
That to me says that the others, if you will, were here before the Son of Christ, before the word was given that God was even up there. I mean, we have the tablets and the commandments and all the rest of that. So the aliens were here before the Creator fellow.
Right. Well, when you're talking about the Creator fellow, in this instance, we're talking about the agent of the Creator.
Okay.
In the Sumerian tradition, his name was Enki. The Egyptians called him Osiris. And these, when you do the research on the early Christian stories in the Old Testament, the book of Genesis,
right,
where that's derived from, it's derived from streams that originated in Sumeria, in Egypt, and in India. So we have to go back to that prehistory in order to pick up this story, because that's where we find depictions and stories of this device, and we see it being carted around the ancient world and being placed at certain locations at very specific times for the purpose of channeling through or bringing through this Christ soul.
I don't feel like we got clarification from him on that. So I think Art was trying to nail down whether or not this was just the same questions you and I were asking. Is this before he was incarnated on Earth, or was this before creation?
Yeah.
And if so, how were the aliens here before creation? And his answer was right, which didn't clarify either way. I was excited to hear.
The old,
but then he looped in all the other Genesis, the creation mythologies of all around him, and India for some reason, which I've never heard mixed in.
Nope. He's really.
But
Yeah.
I mean, there is actually something to the fact that, like in the Mesopotamian region, there were similarities in some of the origin stories, and there is talk that not that they were derived from each other necessarily, but that they may have been in response to each other, like one trying to one up each other to some extent. And of course, you can go on my channel at more serious times and other channels to potentially have that discussion. But yeah, the Egypt thing, was it Egypt? No, India. The India thing was new to me.
Yeah.
Regios, which sounds like Cheerios a little bit. Regios offerings for Shannon, guest Paul could be included. Well, thank you so much for including me in your offerings. And Dave, you're just chopped liver?
Yeah, I'm very used to it.
All right. Well, any kind of liver. It's better than the first time where we were destroying our own livers. So
it was. I made cooked liver for my dad while he was here because it's one of his absolute favorite things.
I recall that.
And it is disgusting, but he's an old man, so you got to make him happy, right?
That's right. I'm sure your house
was that a thing? Did your family like your meal?
My parents loved liver. That was a big special deal. Yeah, absolutely. My family, my sister and I did not enjoy it in any way.
No.
So for those of you, many of you know that I grew up from like a farm background. And so my parents didn't consider this acceptable that I didn't enjoy liver. So they started sneaking liver into ground beef because we made our own ground beef, as one does. I don't know if that was a thing that happened at our house on a regular basis. You make your own ground beef.
Yeah.
And so they started sneaking liver in there with the intent to perhaps trick me.
It's like what you call it when you have like a little bit of poison and then eventually the poison's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
oh hell yeah, Regios, I do. That's my boy or girl or something in between. I don't want to,
that's your labels. That's a skull of some sort. Perfect.
It's a skull of some sort. It's very Diablo-ish looking right there. I like it.
Ooh. Thank you, Regios. Appreciate. All right. Now I don't know how we got on the topic of liver, but off we go.
Yeah, how did we get that? You're all over the map.
What makes you believe that he, who was here 2,000 years ago, will be returning this summer?
Good question.
Nostradamus left his very specific quatrain in which he said in July of 1999.
Nostradamus and very specific.
This guy is really this is a greatest hits of, wackadoo theories. Yeah.
I've never heard anyone describe Nostradamus as being very specific. That doesn't correspond.
Oh, I certainly have. On this show, yeah. People who are like, oh no, Nostradamus.
The King of Terror will come out of the sky, resurrect the king of the Mongols. The reason that I believe that this is this figure is because when this device was brought first to America, one of its locations where it was housed was in Mexico, which was then considered part of America. I mean, the whole North American continent was America.
Sure.
I was going to say exactly what time period was this, but
I mean, I guess he's not wrong, depending how you define
but it's a little bit like saying, well, my favorite part of America is Canada.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, okay.
Yeah, depending how you define America, I guess that's true if you're going by the continent. But I did. So I see now that he's referring to Jesus as the King of Terror because of this Nostradamus.
Because of this Nostradamus prophecy. And of course, for those of you who have read the book of Revelation, terrifying. I mean, that's a reasonable adjective for how one should feel.
And in fact, when we signed NAFTA in '94, we reunited America with Mexico, so we became one once again. This pillar
that worked out well. Let me tell you.
Yes.
America and Mexico are now just as one. They are like 2 peas in a pod.
That was also, I remember, like the when the euro was first introduced, and everyone's like, "Well, this is just step one of like the new unified world government. Soon it's going to be just one Europe and stuff." It's like, yeah, that sure turned out. Yeah,
We have the benefit of hindsight, which they didn't have, so we won't lord that over them too much.
ask the people in Yugoslavia and Bosnia how that Serbia, how that one Europe worked out. Yeah.
Was taken to a place called Tula in Mexico. Tula is a very powerful word for us. It's going to enable us to open up many of these myths. And indeed, what we find in the Mayan tradition is the belief that their ancestors came from a Tula in the central point in heaven, which was their homeland, but that these people who came from Tula also lived in Mongolia previous to coming to Mexico.
All right. Well, I'm going to be very pedestrian here and keep dragging you back down to explain this to me.
Any kind of frame of reference or just
So
forgive my pedestrian ways here, but
yeah, God who I'm not sure exists, bless Art Bell for this, because it's okay. I'm not gonna try and get into whether the people who live in Mexico came via Mongolia, because that seems to be outside the scope.
we're just gonna set that aside for now. We'll stick a pin in that for episode 2. Yeah.
All right.
The King of Terror is coming. Now, it seems to me he who came 2,000 years ago was an agent of the Son of God.
Right.
All right. If he is coming back, how is he now to be called, or why is he now to be called the King of Terror? I mean, the King of Terror does not exactly sound like your favorite neighbor.
That's a great question. The reason
I feel like that's what my neighbors call me, but perhaps I'm not their favorite neighbor.
I'm just gonna go out and guess your neighbors don't even know that you exist, because you said
That is not true.
No.
3 of them were watching earlier. Now
Yeah,
maybe they now
that's
think
right,
that I'm the King of
barbecue,
Terror.
so yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, my life is very different now over on the East Coast, Dave.
Well,
It's a whole new thing.
There you go. Next year I'll come visit and we'll see
That's
for
right.
ourselves. Yeah.
is, well, I mean, first of all, the very surface answer is that when you think back to the life of Jesus and John,
Yes.
in their lifetime they were considered terrorists. John was decapitated because of the terror that he wrought on his community.
That's
and
true.
Of course, Jesus was crucified for being an enemy of the Roman state.
That's right.
But that's really just a surface reason why. One of the other reasons has to do that the mission of this peacemaker or king of terror centers around the Sphinx, which in the Arab tradition was called the father of terror.
The Sphinx.
Yes, that's just one link in this. But the real reason why he's called the king of terror.
Again, remember all those Bible stories, Dave, where John the Baptist and Jesus were hanging around the Sphinx. You remember those?
Yeah, and the king of terror.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you got it. Yeah. Third Maccabees or something.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's in one.
Yeah.
It's in the
Mhm.
in the Apocrypha. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. It's the Acts of Bartholomew.
Yeah. While they're on the Sphinx, they're talking about, hey, remember all those Mongolians in Mexico? Well, I got to go talk to them real quick. You hang out here for a quick sec. I'm gonna be right back. Hold my wineskin. I got this. And then he stargates.
That's right. It explains that little story, in Matthew 36, where he says, where Jesus is like, "Oh shoot, I didn't know you were going to break his nose off." Anyway, blessed are the peacemakers, because it's like, you remember Prince of Egypt, the DreamWorks movie?
Yes.
Where they couldn't help but explain why the Sphinx didn't have a nose and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just like, really? All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
pretty sure
anyone watching,
fix the nose at that point. But anyways, yeah.
or Dave. So, God Awful Movies is one of my favorite podcasts.
Oh, okay.
And their episode on Prince of Egypt is delicious.
Yes.
Because when you watch Prince of Egypt when it first came out, it's not immediately clear how problematic it is. But in the light of a few decades, much like this.
I'd be curious
episode
because I haven't watched it quite a while, but I really liked Prince of Egypt on a number of levels. There's a lot of things I really liked about that movie.
So among the problematic things was like Val Kilmer is not particularly Jewish.
Well, no. Yes, certainly I mean, that's the thing when you yes.
Yeah, there's lots of
and you go back to 20 years ago and past, you're gonna
it's like
very easy to pick any movie apart in that.
Look how everyone is white. It's neat. Anyway, carry on. No.
Because
we're not gonna get into that. We don't need to talk about woke movies. No, we're good.
The story really picks up around 700 A.D.
Yeah.
We have what's something called the Frank's casket, which was discovered in Germany, and it shows the adoration of the Magi. And this is, of course, the three wise men surrounding the Christ child. And there's a runic inscription around the edge of the box that says, "The fish beat up the sea. The king of terror, Jesus, became sad when he swam upon the shingle." And the shingle is thought to be the earth.
What?
In 770 A.D., in the first...
I empathize with that little what?
What? What are you... What? Okay.
When did Germany become a nation? Like, it's got to be what? Like
1800?
1300? Okay, 1800. So...
Yeah.
This doesn't seem like any inscription in Germanic can be telling
German is a language, and the German culture existed much longer than that. But it was like Prussia and like there were a bunch of small countries. Right. But
I've come to learn that English is also a Germanic language, not anyway, but
kind of mostly
kind of. It's we're a mutt. We're a mutt.
Yeah,
of a
we are very
language
much a mutt. We're Heinz 57 of languages. Yeah,
yeah, that's right. But anyway, I feel like even if we're talking about Germanic languages, any prophecy there is not going to be particularly early.
No, it's certainly. I might be making myself look stupid here, but I don't think there was a written German language when Jesus was alive.
Oh no, that doesn't. No, I'm with you on that. Yeah,
yeah,
because the Greeks were ruling Europe at the time. So yeah. Anyway,
recorded Holy Grail legend. Jesus appeared to a young Frenchman and dictated a book to him, which he called. Here commences the first telling of the Holy Grail. The first chapter of that book was, "Here commences terror." So from that moment forward, at least in southern France where Nostradamus lived, Jesus, terror, the Holy Grail, and also enlightenment were linked, because as soon as the young Frenchman looked into that book, the Grail, he was instantly terrified by what he saw. Then he achieved enlightenment. And as many of us, if we think back on our own spiritual paths...
What is the terrifying thing that he saw?
That puzzled me for a long, long time. It's always described as a bright white light.
It's the same thing that was in the suitcase in Pulp Fiction, Dave.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Whatever was in there.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
That's always described to me as a warm, embracing, hello there, we're your relatives, you're on the way to heaven, come on in.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it's described to me.
The bright white light?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why the bright white light is actually the moon. The reason that it's the moon is because the Hebrew word for moon is Ima. It means mother and it means moon. But a phonetically equivalent word is Ima, which means terror. Christos, of course, which is Jesus Christ or Christos, means anointed, but its original meaning was healing moon man. So the bright white light that...
What?
I missed this. He didn't give me enough steps there. Ima or Emma is phonetically
similar.
Emma. So Ima is moon, Emma is similar, which means terror.
Yeah.
But Christos, which is the Greek word for the Christ.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that's either phonetically related to moon. Did I miss something?
What that actually means is healing moon man. According to no Greek scholar I've ever talked to in my entire life, and I've talked to quite a few. Paul, we're going to keep carrying on with this. I'm going to need... Somebody needs to super chat us because my glass is empty and I want to fill it. But if you're good at something, never do it for free.
Okay,
Good life
well, if
advice
you
from
would
the
like
Joker.
Dave, if you'd like the stream to continue, and for Dave to
I mean,
encourage,
because this guy is, I do genuinely love just the outright ballsiness of this man. Like anytime you ask him a question, he's just like, well, but Christos means healing moon man, so carry on. And you're just like, what? And then by the time you like process it, he's already like moved on.
he's already on. Like everyone
Yeah.
from Mexico's from Mongolia, really? Well, what?
Yeah,
okay.
he would do great in like a political debate. Just kind of,
yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Was shown the very terrifying light as a terrifying story about the moon. Now, what's so terrifying about the moon?
Yeah.
That's the backdrop of our story.
What is?
Regio's coming to the salvation of the back half of the stream. Here's to a full glass. Thank you.
You're my new
Regios.
favorite.
I filled
Well,
my glass. Just
Heathen Queen's still my favorite. You're my second favorite. There's no shame in being second.
So terrifying about the moon.
Well, again, this goes back to portions of Sitchin's reinterpretation of the Sumerian myth that describe the cataclysm.
I cannot pronounce it because I, don't read Hebrew. The chat directly, yes, right there. Hebrew, the name Emma. Yes, that's yeah, that's good. Like, yep. There you go.
Heathen Queen super chatting. Want a Jewish person to chime in? Well, and don't call Val Kilmer.
Yes. Yeah.
Or any of the no one from the cast
back.
no one from the cast of Prince of Egypt need call in because
No
that's
call in. Nope. Nor I believe were there any Egyptians involved in.
No, that was the
making
other.
of
That's the
movie.
other half of it.
Mhm.
Was the closest they had was Danny Glover.
Which nothing against Danny Glover. He's a wonderful human being.
Nope.
Yeah.
But drinks and cheers, everyone. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
Welcome
Cheers.
to the chat. All right.
Of that planet Tiamat, a former planet in our solar system, which was called the Great Goddess, the Mother of Life, and also the Great Dragon. She was split in half in a celestial confrontation with another planet, or this planet's satellites, the planet being Nibiru.
So this is from Tiamat is from. Am I getting this right? From Iliad's? No, it's not from Iliad. It's from
No, it's from the what's like the Persian story. I can't remember what it's called. It's very, very famous.
I'm embarrassed that I don't know it because I was literally listening to a lecture.
It's like
about it the other day.
Mesopotamian.
Yeah, their
super
creation myth, but it's their hero goes on a journey.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of like yes, absolutely.
Why are you and I not thinking of his name? Like I've clearly drank too much. Anyway, Tiamat is was what was the god that they formed the universe out of. I can remember the details of the legend. Why can't I not think of the legend's name? I hope you're Googling it so that my mind can.
I'm just waiting. I'm sure. Well, someone wrote Gilgamesh, but it's Gilgamesh is what the
Gilgamesh, Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Super
Whoever
chat
said that
is smarter than it's been too
That's
long
correct.
since my university class.
No, but it's funny because he's dragging in Tiamat there, and that was roughly the legend that out of that goddess that that the earth was formed. But that healing moon man, it was a foretelling of the coming of Michael Jackson and the Moonwalker.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah,
which would have been past actually at the time of this recording. Michael Jackson was already moonwalking by 1999.
His what was his crazy moon space adventure kind of movie?
Captain EO?
Captain EO, yes.
Captain EO in partnership. So that was a partnership between Disney, George Lucas, and Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine but in their 1980s. So think Disney before Little Mermaid, and they were doing some weird stuff before they started getting big again. George Lucas just after Return of the Jedi, but kind of around the time of Howard the Duck, and George Lucas all teaming up for a space adventure. Mrs. Parker, tell us the story of Paul and the Bear.
I don't know a story about Paul and a Bear. Is there a story? I don't know, unless it's you and me sharing a bed in San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh well.
I mean, I hope that's not what they're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm gonna get you
I don't have-
demonetized sooner or later.
Yeah, Dave and I have been through some things together.
But I don't remember any story about a bear.
The only story I can think of the bear is, so you know where I lived in Calgary.
Yeah.
On right on the edge of town. There was the day where my kids couldn't come home from school because there was a bear in front of my house.
Yeah.
And so literally, like, they had to stay with the neighbors until I called to say that the bear was gone. And it was, lest anyone be concerned, it was a baby bear. But that's even worse because you don't know where the mom is.
Yeah, that's where. Yes, yeah.
And so if you get between the baby bear and the mama bear, that's worst case scenario. So it was a grizzly, and it went away eventually. But that's
one of my friends just gave me a message suggesting that we should put a thing for $100. I'll put glitter in my beard, and I'm not sure I will. We'll see.
Okay,
we might have to add.
Do you have? No, wait. Do you have glitter on hand?
I don't. I don't have glitter. So nobody tip $100 because I don't have glitter to put into my beard.
All right,
right
but
now.
maybe next time,
I'll get.
Maybe you could ask the fine folks at Glitter if they would like to be a sponsor of the show.
Paul, I thought we agreed. I'm in charge of the sponsorships.
I understand.
All right?
Okay.
Don't hamstring me. You always do this. This is why we can't have nice podcasts.
Cheers to mugs.
Cheers to mugs.
All right. We need to see how far we're going to get.
When she was split in half, as we all know, most of us know by now, half of that planet became the asteroid belt circling Mars and Jupiter.
Right.
Oh, okay.
The other half became Earth. Well, before her destruction, Tiamat had released 11 satellites, 10 very large satellites, one smaller one, our moon. That small was the most important satellite of the whole bunch because the Sumerians had said that that's the place where our genetic material came from. We were made from the blood of...
You know how the Sumerians, thank you. The Sumerians are different people. The Sumerians, they did a lot of genetic research back in like the 2000 BC. That was...
Yeah. Okay. But so he's talking about a different Nibiru. Yes, that there was another planet in the solar system that broke up. It became the asteroid belt that exists now, and some other. He's not talking about the planet X.
Oh, okay.
When he talks about Nibiru, he's yeah, okay.
All right, so one lower score on the tinfoil hat cred.
Well, I mean, it's still, yeah. Anyways,
we're hitting all the high notes.
Kingu, and it was upon Kingu that were kept the holy records, the tablets of destiny of this former planet. So the moon emerges, if you use your imagination, as sort of a Death Star, a satellite of Tiamat. David Hatcher Childress and others have gone into some detail describing how these what can be only described as arcs were created.
Let's try this, I guess, from the top, William.
Okay.
The King of Terror is none other than Jesus Christ, yes?
Possibly, yes. Mm-hmm.
Possibly?
Yeah, I mean, I would say about 90% sure, yes.
All right.
You're wrecking my show, man. I wanted to talk about Jesus and Stargates.
I'm trying to get you just to nail down on even one thing, buddy. You got to give me something. Give me fucking one thing.
Is the King of Terror Jesus?
Yeah.
90%. That's
the
best.
Yes. Well, 90%. Yeah. I feel like this guy's an engineer.
I saw Captain EO at Disneyland. Probably Epcot. I think it was only playing at Epcot. I saw Captain EO at Disneyland with the 3D glasses. Does that make me old? Great stream. Thanks, guys. And let me take that back because the Epcot was in Florida in Disney World. So if you saw it at Disneyland,
probably saw it at Disneyland.
I don't know. I've been more to the world than the land. So,
and also, Eric, yes, that does make you old. You are a decrepit person on the downslope of life. I hope you accomplish something because there's nothing left.
On a personal note, someone asked me at what point you and I shifted from being whatever we were originally to actually being friends. Was that at Disney? Is that at Disney World? Do you think?
No, I think it was before then.
Okay.
I would consider before, because before then I would like come over to your house and play Risk, and like we were like hanging out socially.
Okay. I was just trying to remember the timing.
I think that really cemented it. It's
all right,
but it's also art because like there's not like a thing like we just spent a lot of time together and we're just like always like it's just the sort of thing that grew. So it's hard to nail. This is the point where.
Okay. So
you know,
yeah. So I was just having a hard time. Yeah, I think that's probably right. It's like at what point does something go from warm to hot? It's like, well, okay, that's a weird question because we don't. Yeah.
Because we've always had a lot of synchronicity, right? Like the way we think, our senses of humor, the things Sims, you know, that we could just throw random Simpson quotes or movie quotes, and the other person knows exactly what we're talking about. That's
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of always been there.
All right. So not Disney World. Gotcha.
Yeah. Plus, I think
you've got a picture up on my website right now.
Okay.
All right. The picture. Let me go down to your name. Here we go, William Henry. And the picture that you want us to see is williamhenry.net. And when you go...
In 1999, I doubt that williamhenry.com had been taken, but okay.
I mean, now, let's just see. It's been 20 years, so williamhenry.com. Enter. What do we get? Spinning. Oh, it's apparently a jewelry store and a knife. It
so,
sells,
okay. So he had to settle, even in 99, he had to settle for .net. I got you.
Yeah.
To that website, it's about the 1, 2, 3, fourth one down. You get a photograph. And you get a photograph of what appears to be an archway in France, is it?
Okay, yeah, that's me standing at the door to the Church of Mary Magdalene in Rennes-le-Château. And then there should be another picture attached to that of a pillar. If you click on the door.
Oh, no kidding. Yes, you're right.
Okay, click on the door.
It needs to say, click on the door.
That's what I thought, too.
And when I did, it says, file not...
This is what passed as radio in 1999.
It's file not found. He gets a 404 here.
So in 1999, what we did, kids, was we listened to the radio, and people would describe their website.
Yeah.
They wouldn't.
Yeah. Oh, you need Shockwave for this. I don't have that installed. I don't have that plug-in in my Opera.
Yeah, no, it would be pre-Netscape. It was. I got Mozilla loaded up. Yeah.
Found.
Uh-oh.
So I clicked on the door, and indeed it was supposed to link to something, but it didn't.
Okay.
So there you are. I do see, though, the archway. And
it's good radio.
Yeah, that's how you know it's live. That's how you know it's live. Yeah.
Well, is it any worse than what we're doing here? Probably not.
No. And that's you standing there.
Right. Okay, so I'll get my web person to try and remedy that in the meantime.
Anyway, and then we would see a pillar. And where is that pillar? Inside?
The pillar is not inside that church, no.
Where is it?
The pillar is, I'll describe what it looks like. It's approximately 45 foot tall. It's made of solid gold.
Solid gold?
Mm-hmm. It appears to have...
That would be worth a lot. And very
where
heavy.
Is this 45-foot gold pillar?
40-foot time. Where he's going to tell us it's not in France, which is where the picture is.
Yeah.
Paul, on God, do you trust me with your life? Well, I trust you with my life. I don't know what the on God qualifier is.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what that
does not add or help.
Awkward.
So, Heathen Queen, I trust you with my life, but the on God just confuses me.
Paul doesn't trust me with his life, but he would trust me with $5.
That's correct.
The base of a sort of an Ark of the Covenant. We all saw that movie Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Right. So we have a little familiarity with the Ark, what the Ark looks like. It's possible that there was a pillar that was attached to the top of that Ark of the Covenant, which looks very much like some sort of an...
No, there was not a 45-foot tall solid gold pillar on top of the Ark of the Covenant, because they carried that thing around in the desert.
Yeah, so even if you 100% believe in the Ark of the Covenant, it was like they were carrying this through the desert, and there was I can't remember how long the rods and this. A 45-foot pole of gold would weigh so much.
Tons.
Gold is so heavy.
Tons.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't
And
just
also-
attach a gold pillar to the ark.
Going by the slaves escaping from Egypt and going through the desert had apparently a 45-foot gold pillar that they, I guess God gave it to them.
Apparently, did I miss a super chat from Vishanti?
Oh, did we? Did we miss a super chat?
Damn
Damn
it,
it, Paul.
Do you see it?
No, I don't think we.
404'd.
I do not see a super chat that we missed from Vishanti.
So
there was the
Vishanti
one
just-
way back at 10:19. Oh, you know what? We did. We absolutely did. Scroll way up to 10:19 p.m.
Well, no,
Dude's
that's a
playing
different
Mad
time zone.
Libs
That's
with
a different
all
time
the-
zone than me.
Yeah,
there we
dude's
go.
playing all the Mad Libs with all the woo top. Yes, that's exactly right. He's just throwing.
It's true.
He's just throwing random words in. It's like, yeah, what about Ashanti? What about Nibiru? What about? I'm excited for him to bring up like Area 51 or Harp.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Apologies, deep apologies, Vishanti, for missing your super chat.
absolutely.
Time.
Apologies and cheers. Yes,
I'll
if
talk
we,
to
if
the
we don't
mug
get
people, see if we can't get you.
I can't see it tied into the Hollow Earth and Sasquatch at some point.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure Jesus spent some time in the, the inner sphere.
That's right, hanging with the Loch Ness monster.
Antenna. This device is massive. It is huge, and it's called the pillar or the tower, and it's designed in the myths and stories that I've collected surrounding it to open a gateway into other dimensions. This pillar was originally brought and housed at Abydos, Egypt. That's where I first found the depiction of it.
Where did you get the photograph of it?
I got it out of Richard Wilkinson's book, Reading Egyptian Art. There are numerous depictions in that book, as well as...
and where does it say that pillar is located?
It's located at the Osirian at Abydos.
I'm sorry, Abydos?
Yes, Abydos, Egypt.
Egypt, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's solid gold?
Made of solid gold, yes. It's like a golden needle.
Heavens. That would be... I wonder how much gold that would be a whole lot of gold.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about like the Temple of Solomon, where this was housed in Jerusalem, there was something on the order of...
Okay, so that's my other problem is that the tabernacle was a thing in my family, and studying the tabernacle, there was a roof on the tabernacle, and it was not 45 feet tall. It was something like,
and there was no
14
pillar
feet.
of gold in it.
No, there's not. But this wasn't going to fit. I guess.
Yeah, because there's incredibly specific depiction of the tabernacle in the Old Testament, where it's like this is exactly how this room was laid out, and the size and dimensions of every. And it's like it goes into great detail about what was in the tabernacle. Nowhere does it mention a 45-foot pillar of gold, which again is an insane amount of solid gold.
Right. And I understand that this is the weirdest thing to take a exception on with the story we've been given all the stuff that's going on. But
I also love that he's like, well, there's a picture of a pillar and some Egyptian things. So
yeah, and also like from that time period, things weren't color. Like, so I don't know how it was obviously gold. Well, was it? Because it's, just depicted in black and white. But okay.
So Vishanti has said the tabernacle had gold walls. And if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, and I don't want to call you out, Vishanti, I apologize, but the tabernacle had wood paneled walls.
And I'm wondering, Vishanti,
which
if you
was
were thinking
wood paneled walls were that was a big deal. That would have been very expensive and very, a sign of richness, like because wood was not something like wood paneling was a big deal,
right?
Why, like a lot of watch like the old Victorian England and stuff, and they have like wood paneled things. It's like, no, this is freaking expensive to do. I thought that was what the tabernacle had, but I might.
And is Vishanti thinking of the ark, perhaps, because the ark was covered in gold?
The ark was covered in gold,
and the tabernacle had gold thread in the Holy of Holies curtains. Had gold woven in.
Someone's lurking.
Love you, Mike. I'm going.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Hoosier. We're doing it live. Now Paul's off.
We're doing it live. Thank you, Hoosier.
Yeah.
All right. Let's carry on with our bingo.
138 tons of gold used in the construction of that temple
Oh,
alone.
shit.
138 tons.
Yeah, of course, the walls of the Holy of Holies.
What?
We got to do this, man. We got to make up bingo cards of like conspiracy things. We got to do it. And then as we listen to these episodes, we can tick off. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
For sure.
We'll work on that.
All right.
Anyways, carry on.
Carry on.
Was lined with gold, so that they made profuse use of gold. And in fact, the gold is very important because as I track this device in various locations around the planet, there are known to be enormous repositories of gold at many of the locations where this thing was housed.
That's enormous, all right. And what do you say that the pillar is?
The pillar
is an antenna?
It looks so much like an antenna that one would get the impression that that's what it's used for, and that is, as far as I can tell.
Well, I'll give you this much, William. Gold is one hell of a conductor. It's one of the first things you learn in electronics. One of the best conductors in the world that we know of is gold.
Okay.
You're aware? Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that, and I had to figure that would make...
I knew that.
That was about as condescending as I've ever heard him be. Okay, look, I'm willing to entertain all the stuff you just said, but at least tell me that you knew that gold was a good conductor.
Well, it looks like an antenna because it's a pillar. Okay. Nope, I'm willing to...
That would make some sense in terms of the operation of this device.
Mm-hmm.
The other important thing about it is that if it does emit a frequency, that would make a tremendous amount of sense, because what they are attempting to do is to enact the mythological story of slaying the dragon. We've all seen this in like the King Arthur.
Okay, who's they? Let's just start with that. Where did the dragons come into it? Like, what the hell's going on here now?
As you know, a common feature in all the King Arthur dragon slaying legends is vibrating antennas. It's a trope, practically.
I mean, I'm willing. I have every confidence that he won't explain it, but I'm willing to listen a little bit and see how he explains.
All
we're
right.
going to kill a dragon with this.
Okay, we're getting dragons. That should have been on the card. We need to make notes for the card.
Yeah.
All right, dragons should be on the list.
There's stories in different places where this is reenacted, and it's an important element in that story because, for example, in the story of David and Goliath, remember that from Sunday school.
Sure.
David had an encounter with a giant named Goliath.
Yes.
Who turns out to be one of the fallen angels. Goliath is of the class of angels called seraphim, which means serpent healers.
What?
Oh, I thought this was going to be tied into the Nephilim. I thought I was going to get excited that last week's show and this week's show were connecting. All right. Seraphim and cherubim.
Yeah, I'm familiar with seraphim. I've not heard them defined as
Goliath.
serpent healers. Not too sure where that's coming from. The same place that, what was it? Moon Man Healer?
Moon Healer.
Moon Healer. There was a third word in there.
/ King of Terror.
Yeah. I mean,
makes sense.
Huh. Okay.
And the way that David slayed that dragon or that giant was by using a stone and embedding it in the forehead of the giant,
right,
which killed him, and then he chopped his head off with his sword. He took the giant's sword and chopped his head off. Well, what if that giant was killed not with a stone, but rather with a tone? Okay?
A tone?
A tone.
Or a frequency?
A frequency. Now, this is really...
So this makes total sense for the guy who thinks that, okay, well, there's this old word Ima and an old word named Emma, so those are obviously just the same word. He was killed by a stone, but hear me out. What if that S was just added on and it was actually a tone? Like this was done in English. Wow.
Oh, we got a super chat.
Yeah, I see that. We got hey, Art Bell. Wow, retired Ing for Cam to retired
engineer. Yeah.
Engineer for Cam to Cam. Oh, Coast to Coast AM. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you found us, Godless Blessings. You've obviously missed our previous. We're big Art Bell fans. As much as we're tearing this apart and kind of going, we love Coast to Coast and we love Art Bell. Deep love for Art Bell. It's amazing that you were engineer for Coast to Coast. That is it's fantastic. We're glad you're here with us.
Welcome, and we trust that Art would have not been displeased with what we're doing.
Important because another person that had a mythological encounter with the giant or the dragon was a strong man named Hercules. We've all seen many stories of him. In fact, there's a new series out called Hercules on television these days.
Right.
Hercules.
Was he referring to the Kevin Sorbo?
He would, at this point in time, he would absolutely be referring to the Kevin Sorbo series.
Wow. Well, also Kevin Sorbo turned out to be great for Christianity. That's
yes, he's the great ambassador.
Mm-hmm. Went on to play many an atheist in films where they have the characters of atheists. That's great.
Yeah.
He's battled a giant called An, and the way that he ingeniously was able to
do you remember the time we met
this.
Kevin Sorbo?
Did we meet him at Comic-Con?
No, Calgary. He was a guest at Calgary. And that was the guy that played Lex Luthor on Smallville was also there. But Kevin Sorbo was like the nicest guy. Came around. He like toured all the booths. He came to our booth and like
I vaguely recall this.
Company asked us questions about what we were doing. Was genuinely like I went away being like, this is the nicest celebrity I've ever met. Like went out of his way to talk to us and ask us about our lives and what's going on and what's this company we're doing and different things. Like was an incredibly nice person, and we talked to him for like 20 minutes. And
I had blocked that from my memory, but now that's vivid. Holy cow! I forgot that
that was like the
Kevin
first
Sorbo.
or second Calgary show. Yeah. Yeah.
I met so many. I mean,
and we at the same time we met at the same. We ended up getting in the same space as I can't remember his name. Rosenbaum, Michael Rosenbaum, the guy who plays Lex Luthor in Smallville.
Yes, that's right.
Who just 100% was like super rude to us, like get out of my way, just had literally push us out of the way and was just like wouldn't talk to us or look us in the eye. And it's like we're not even Smallville fans. We're not asking for an autograph or anything. We're just standing there and just like get out of my way, plebes. And pushed off, and Kevin Sorbo came, and I was just like, "Well, there you go." Yeah. At that time, I had an incredibly positive opinion of Kevin Sorbo, which has been.
That was the year George Takei was there too, right?
Yes, although we didn't.
No, but I did it backstage.
Oh, did you?
He was driving his golf cart backstage and almost hit me, and I had to scramble out of the way of some jerk in a golf cart.
Yeah.
And then I turn around and I was like George Takei, and immediately like, well, what did I do wrong? Like I'm most because this is the amazing man who I love. That somehow that stood out in my mind more than Kevin Sorbo. So
yeah, there you go. Well,
did Kevin buy comics from us?
No, he didn't buy anything.
No.
Patrick Rothfuss did once for anybody who's in the chat. Patrick Rothfuss came by and bought comic books from us one time.
Well, we've had, at San Diego, we've had many people like the Hobbit Boy has bought comics from us.
Yeah.
Lots of, Nick Frost got comics from me like every single month. Like we had lots of like fun celebrity purchase of our wares, but yeah, that was another time, another day.
Another day, another dollar was the story for another time.
I wish I had forgotten that. Maybe I will drink enough to also forget that I met Kevin Sorbo.
You're too smart.
This dragon, was by lifting him up off the ground so that the giant lost his strength, so that the dragon lost its strength, and then he was able to strangle it. Now, let's put that together with David's story about the tone in the stone.
Uh-huh.
Let's say we have a tone that is able to lift up this giant or this dragon. What if, for example, in our modern age, that this device was to return in terms of a frequency-emitting device? Okay?
Yes.
What might that device be? Well, let's go back to the story of David again, because not only did he kill a giant or a dragon with a tone, but he also played the lyre,
wait.
which was a...
Yes.
You moved from could it not be possible at this to like now just presupposing, well, not only did he kill a giant with the tone, he's presented no evidence. He's just he's thrown out the good old fashioned ancient aliens, the the classic meme that is it not possible that aliens did this? You have to be like, well, I mean, I guess technically it's possible. It's like, there you go, 100% proof aliens did this.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So is it not possible that this was generating tones? It's like, well, not really. That's not really how gold pillars work. Anyways, he used a tone to kill David. Anyway, since he used a tone to kill David, and that's established, we can then go to presuppose. Yeah. Yeah.
The Old Testament literally talks about David like going and gathering up stones.
Yeah.
I don't know how you interpret tones. He went down to the river to gather up some tones.
Well, Paul, the S was just added on by mistake. It was a translation error.
Because as we all know, the Old Testament was written in English.
Yeah. Try to keep up, Paul. I thought you were supposed to be like into this shit. It's like I'm talking to,
It's like you're talking to a newbie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A musical instrument which he could use to tame man and beast. Another way of looking at the lyre is that it's a 7-stringed harp.
Yeah.
Have you?
So we are right now in the end times, as people believe.
All right. You are familiar, no doubt, with the HARP project in Alaska.
Yes, I am.
Okay, yeah. Oh, here we go, Paul. I fucking called it. I called it. I said they're gonna bring up HARP.
Okay, so we need we definitely need a giant bingo card for this.
Yeah, they are really hitting all of the. Oh, this is the best. This is as good as Mel's hole. I'm so happy you found this.
Keep it rolling. All right.
You are aware that its detractors suggest that the transmissions from HARP will affect biological beings, as in people, as in us. You're aware of that?
Yes.
I take it that you believe that this is tied in.
I do believe it's tied in, yes. I believe
that was just a guess, but I thought you might believe that.
I believe that the harp is the modern recreation of an ancient archetype, possibly involving a device or a technology similar to the way that this would operate.
Well, HARP has its own antennas, that's for sure. We've got pictures of their antenna farm up on the website someplace. It's quite an antenna farm. It's not gold, but there's parts of it that are, I'm sure.
Right, and here's how this relates.
All right. Do you want to give people a for those unaware, what's a 30-second rundown on HARP?
On what HARP is? HARP is the high altitude. I can't remember what the third word is. Research program. Auroral. That's right. So it's a real thing. It's in Alaska. It is military. I can't remember if it's the Army or the Navy. I think it's the Navy is HARP. It's an array of antennas. And the idea behind it is that you can energize parts of the ionosphere, very high atmosphere. So you use all these antennas, you beam a bunch of energy into the high atmosphere. And then you can bounce radio signals off of that energized part. So it's kind of like people will probably experience this sometimes, well, less so now, when people used to listen to more AM radio. I remember one time being in Banff at the hot springs and turning on my radio and getting Saskatoon AM radio. How do you get Saskatoon AM radio when you're very far over the horizon? It's because the radio signals literally bounce off charged particles in the atmosphere and will bounce, I'm doing it wrong. Bip, 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 bounce over the horizon. So this was how the military was like, well, we can send signals to submarines and things over. And there was a whole bunch of stuff about, well, you can control weather patterns. This is the tone. Absolutely. That's the whatever, take it for what it is. That's the official description of what HARP is. It's a research station where they energize parts of the atmosphere and you can use it to bounce radio signals over the horizon farther than you possibly would be able to. The various very low frequency radio signals the Navy uses to communicate with submarines and things like that. That's what HARP is.
So the connection now to the King of Terror, Jesus coming back, is that now if we can review this, David
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stories about people killing dragons.
Yeah.
David killed something like a dragon, and that his opponent was large.
Yeah.
What if the stone that he killed them with was a tone?
Yeah, David also had a lyre.
And David played a lyre.
Yeah, which is
made
in fact
tones.
a primitive form of harp. It's like a 7-string harp.
That's right. Yeah. So that's how we got here. That's and all the way back to the antennas, the gold 45-foot pillar antennas.
You're close,
So
God.
full
Those
circle.
blessings. Harp. It's the actual harp is it's 2 A's and 1 P's. It's HAARP is how the actual harp. The
More
project.
like it's like the American Association of Retired Persons. If that it's from watching too many CNN ads back in the day. All right.
Yes.
So
anyways, there we go. There's the quick rundown of
that was the
harp
quick rundown
is.
of. I think you didn't beat your 30-second timer, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because if we're operating along the premise, as many people are, that we're fulfilling some of those prophecies in the book of Revelation, one of the primary jobs of this figure, the King of Terror, is to slay the dragon. And it appears that dragon appears in many forms. I mean, it can appear as an individual or as a group of people and so forth. But it may have something to do instead with not only our ionosphere, but the ancients believed that there was literally a sphere of souls that encapsulate the planet as well. And that this device not only...
I'm also thinking, like, well, it can appear as anything, like an individual or a group of people. It's like this is the ultimate non-falsifiable thing that it can be.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a group of souls who are barricading the planet, like Cuba or something. Like it's Fun fact: HARP almost shut down permanently in the 2010s, if I recall correctly. Is that correct?
I don't honestly know. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it is.
Well, they were supposed to end, according to this show, if we get there.
Yeah.
This is all tied into Y2K if we get there far enough.
Yeah.
And that this was supposed to end the world in 2000. So it makes sense 10 years after that mandate, they'd say, yeah, maybe this isn't going where we're going.
Only could channel souls into the earth plane, but it could also lift up that sea or sphere of souls that had a tendency to collapse. See?
Yeah, but you're saying that to get souls to Earth to be inculcated in the newborn as we get them, that an actual device is required.
Originally, the scenario that I'm putting forth...
I know, but you're suggesting that the souls were dispatched by not the Creator, but the Anunnaki.
Right.
Then where does the Creator fit into all of this, if at all?
Well, that's what's sort of missing in many of the...
Appreciate the Dune reference. Yeah.
David had handheld harp emitting the tone like the wielding modules from Dune.
The tone.
I'm a little bit sad, and I hope that the sequel of the new Louis Dune movie didn't actually have any of the wielding weapons. So we'll see if that comes into play.
Yeah.
But it was done so poorly. Like some of the stuff, I think, is it Aronofsky who's doing these new ones?
It's Denis Villeneuve, fellow Canadian.
Villeneuve. Thank you.
Yeah.
Aronofsky did the terrible Noah movie, which is partially why this is on my mind. Pardon me. I think partially it's like anything that was done in any associated with the David Lynch movie, we're just going to leave that stuff alone.
I think he left a lot of stuff alone just because it's like it's not crucial to the story, and we're going to pare it down to like this is just a coherent story.
Yeah, and I'm kind of hopeful, like the Peter Jackson original books, the Lord of the Rings books, did, like in Fellowship, it didn't bring up all the stuff that's brought up in Fellowship because you don't need it until Two Towers. So why are we? Yeah.
Because they're gonna, there's something, whatever. You and I could have a pop culture stream. We could easily talk for hours. We can't let ourselves get off.
We won't get too tied down, but
I would love to sometime have a conversation just comparing Lynch's Dune to Villeneuve. We should wait till the second part of Villeneuve's Dune comes out, and then we should have like a discussion.
Who wore it better
or something? Yeah,
yeah.
That'll be for our third show. Yeah.
In text right now, I feel that the answers are there.
Well, let's be straight on with people, Henry. William, does this really mean that what you believe, I mean, let's just lay it on the table here, is that the the Anunnaki indeed were our creators, and as far as you can see, there is no reference to another creator.
Scant reference to another creator. In the Sumerian stories, Enki, the Anunnaki biospiritual engineer, is presented as the biospiritual engineer who genetically engineered the human.
Anunnaki sounds like a pasta dish that I might enjoy.
I'm trying to. Okay, just wait, let us play it because I want to hear his.
Okay, Art's trying to pin him down, which is good.
Yeah,
Art's trying to get him like concretely. Okay, let's let it. I'll do the one super chat, and then we'll go. The fact that the Bible contains all these subtle puns and linguistic clues in English is proof that the King James version should be the only Bible / sarcasm. I agree. Yes, King James onlyists. Here we go.
We could, as a former university English major and literary English patron, I could go into a great deal about the King James version and all of the shenanigans there. But anyways, yes, I want to hear.
Anyways, off we go.
Human body as a resurrection machine, as a technology, as a biological technology.
Well, now, according to Sitchin, the human body was engineered, DNA manipulated to mine gold.
Mine gold.
To mine gold.
In the mythological tradition, though, Art, gold and soul are interchangeable. I think Mr. Sitchin is entirely correct in his assessment, but we can take it one step further, and indeed I believe that we must. And in fact, Linda Howe did in her glimpses of other realities and her work with people that have encountered beings that may be representatives of the Anunnaki. And their purpose in coming here is not to mine gold. They're surely at the level of Star Trek where they can create gold by alchemical means. The stories, when looked at from the viewpoint that I'm trying to express here, pretty clearly state that their ambition here was to rescue the souls from the collapsed soul sphere of Tiamat. Now remember...
Okay, but wait.
Clearly. I love that. I love how you use the word clearly in there.
I saw, I watched on your channel a stream not that long ago. You were, I cannot remember the details. So it was, there was 3, you and 2 people on, and it was like somebody calling in who was trying to make a case for, Christianity, and just kept throwing out the well, we can all agree that, God's the universal truth. Yeah. You might remember the one I'm talking about, right? And it's like, we don't all agree with that. And it's like, well, but clearly we do. It's like, well, no. Just because you keep saying it does not make this an established fact. I really feel this guy has a bad case of the same. He just keeps throwing this stuff out as as we all know. And it's like, what? We don't all know this. Yeah.
I feel like that may not you wanted me to pause, and I waited until Art broke in again.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that you were not satisfied probably by his
No, I'm legitimate. I'm trying to give this guy something of the benefit of the doubt, right? At least present some kind of coherent theory for how this all, and he just keeps throwing out more. Well, I don't know how this Tiamat soul sphere comes into this now. There's some kind of, it feels like a very Scientology kind of I don't.
And he kind of
he's never yada yada any of this stuff. Yeah, he just keeps yada yada over things.
Jesus is the King of Terror. Yeah, but Yahweh the Creator, maybe not.
Yeah,
I don't know how you can. If Jesus is the person, then you need Yahweh, right?
Yeah. How? Okay. Well. Maybe it'll make sense. How far are we on this?
We are 30.
Halfway through?
Well, not quite, but yeah. But we're at our 2-hour mark, so we can wrap any time now. I do feel like we might be on the cusp of maybe.
I'm genuinely excited to hear how Stargates.
Right, this is what I was wanting to get to. Is that how Jesus?
We need to start. Maybe we may need to start making this a 3-hour show or something. I don't know. This is
maybe this one's worthy of a part 2. To get this closure, because it's my understanding that he incorporates the not spoilers, because I don't know for certain. The Mormon traditions about Jesus visiting North America is my understanding that his part of his enterprise is that's all also correct.
Yeah.
And his trips to India, the alleged Jesus trips to India, that those are all
Shannon wants us to keep going
by the Stargates. Well, Shannon's
Shannon's
she's
probably
looking.
very drunk at this point.
She's looking for something to lull her to sleep, I'm guessing. But let's keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
she's well for $5.
Well then,
I mean, in this
never
economy,
stop. Okay, so
yeah.
in this economy, we'll keep rolling as long as till the audience tells us.
Wow.
So you disagree with Sitchin with regard to the DNA manipulation or the reason for the DNA manipulation. You don't believe that part of the Sitchin theory. Is that correct?
No, I do not. And the reason is gets back to the story of the Temple of Solomon, where the terms gold and soul are interchangeable. But what Sitchin has...
I was actually wondering about that so the word gold and soul are interchangeable. Is that in the same sense that like tone and stone are interchangeable?
I guess. I'm not, like, he never explains any of this stuff, so I'm not sure why those two terms are interchangeable. Maybe there is a reason in ancient Hebrew they are, but he's never said it. I've certainly never heard anything along those lines.
No.
Said is that they came here to solve an atmospheric crisis in their home world, and gold was to be the answer. Okay?
Now, there is one thing that maybe you can help me out with, and maybe you have your own answer to it. When I listened
I guarantee you he
to
does,
Zechariah, and I listened to him talk about gold, there is one thing that really is true, William, and that's that we human beings have a very almost inexplicable passion for gold. Gold is hard to describe. It's when you hold, for example, pure gold in your hand, you know you're feeling something very, very special, not just because it has monetary value. There's more to it than that. Go back to the gold fever, the gold rush, and all the rest of that. There was more to it than just money. There was something about gold, and there still is. And anybody who doubts that, hold some pure gold in your hand and see what you feel. You do feel that you're holding something. There's just something about the texture, the color, the weight. You almost can't explain it, but you do have an inexplicable affinity for gold that goes beyond the monetary worth of gold.
Now, gold, just is not like by any stretch the most rare element on Earth at all.
It is rare, but it's not.
It's not the most rare.
I'll give Henry the credit where he was saying, like, when art sort of was like, well, aliens were coming looking for gold, and he was like, well, probably not, because I'm sure they could get gold. He said through alchemical means, which is whatever, but it's like gold is plentiful in other easier to get to places than Earth. There's, asteroids that have a lot of gold on them that you can get to very easily without having to mine it from Earth. I'll give him that at least. He's not like, well, okay, no aliens are coming to, whatever, these creatures aren't coming to Earth looking for gold. He's using this some kind of soul gold analogy. I don't know.
I also enjoy that we're like this much in, and like alchemy is the least crazy thing he's talked about, such that
yes, and it's
how would you explain that?
Good night, Heathen Queen. You're awesome.
I'll explain it this way. We have to get back to the exploded planet hypothesis. The very reason that Enki came here, that planet Tiamat, the watery dragon, had been destroyed. I'm of the opinion and this is my rendering of Sitchin's work as well as the Sumerian stories, that planet was inhabited primarily by a feminine-oriented civilization.
A feminine-oriented civilization.
Yeah,
if we can do this without mythology, if we can stick to what we think happened, and you're doing that now, that would be great. A feminine-oriented civilization.
The picture that emerges is that she releases 11 satellites before her destruction, which begin to sound something out of the order of the vehicles that were featured in Independence Day, these massive transgalactic vehicles.
Ships, yes.
The arcs. Let's call them arcs.
Arcs, that's good.
Because Tiamat emerges as an Atlantis in the Stars story, the story of a civilization that sunk in the middle of the night, of which there were survivors. Some of those survivors, however, their souls were literally embedded in the planet, in the former planet, which became Earth. Their souls were attached to the Earth. They didn't make it off the ship. Enki and the other Anunnaki
Good job keeping it out of the realm of mythological, though. Good job.
came here.
Yeah, like I'm legitimately trying to follow his train of thought, and he's just so all over the map, this guy.
Yeah.
Like it's all, yeah. All right. Anyways.
So Gritmonger, where does it go? I can't show anymore. There we go. You were talking about the movie Atlantis, or
the Disney movie Atlantis?
Atlantis. Well, all of a sudden I was thinking suddenly of Treasure Planet. No, I do remember Atlantis as well. Those came out similar times.
Atlantis was quite a bit before Treasure Planet.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Treasure Planet I have a weird connection to Treasure Planet, but now that I realized it was a different movie that we're talking about, it didn't realize. Anyway, Dave and I do remember that movie.
Yeah.
And
remember both those movies. One of them's good.
That's right.
I'm not gonna,
in order to rescue those souls. Along the way, they mined gold. Their primary mission was to find a way to lift those souls out of the earth.
The gold was required for example, the pillar.
Right, and other things. And the atmosphere that Enki was attempting to repair was not his atmosphere such as we breathe. It was the soul sphere, this massive sphere of souls that surrounded the planet, that needed to be that those souls needed to be returned to their homeland.
How can you reconcile all you're saying, William, with the Bible, the description we have of God and His Son and why He was here and why He died on the cross?
This is a good question.
And all the rest of that? How can you reconcile that with a stronger view, which you've drawn from the Sumerian text, which would suggest that the initiator, the creator of our souls, was not God at all, but instead was aliens?
Well, the way I reconcile it, I believe 100% that the blood of Christ is the way to exit this world, the way to return to our former homeland. And I believe that the Christ story tells us that is indeed so, and I believe that's the story is presented in the Bible of why He came and so forth. And what I've been able to do is reconcile that story with other previous myths to sort of expand it. And the payoff for me, the reason that I keep going into this direction and going with it, is that through my search I've been able to reconcile the ancient myths with Western medical science. I have actually found a substance that Western medical scientists are using to cure cancer, AIDS, and leukemia that effectively gives you a more purified blood. And that appears to be one of the key elements.
What is it?
So
oh wait,
I came on your show. I came on your show, Art, and we're going to talk for 35 minutes. But I left out. Oh, I also have a cure for cancer. Were you interested in talking about this?
There's people who do. He's been working with them. It purifies blood. Yeah.
People cure cancer. I didn't bring that up earlier because we had important things to talk.
Yeah.
Vishanti. So I'm so glad I'm high for this. Yeah, Mad Libs. Yeah, that would be better.
This is conspiracy theory Mad Libs right here. Absolutely.
I'm glad I didn't. So my method is I tried.
Little left in this bottle.
Oh yeah, I'm actually the same with my rum. I'm almost to the Jack Sparrow. Why is the rum gone?
Yeah, gonna have to stock up before the next show.
Can the Hubbard estate sue this guy, or is it fair use?
I mean, he hasn't actually mentioned. Oh shit, I can't remember. What are the things, the particles?
The L. Ron Hubbard. Yeah.
The meters, your Theton levels. Yeah, he hasn't mentioned Thetons yet, so he's probably okay. Yeah.
I did meet L. Ron Hubbard as well. I was in the room when we played Battlefield Earth for the first
L. Ron
time.
Hubbard? I didn't
Well,
know that.
no, sorry.
Well,
I was in the room.
you were in a room
I was
with
in
L.
a
Ron Hubbard.
room with L. Ron Hubbard. He was sitting with George, and it was incredibly uncomfortable because they played Battlefield Earth in the Skywalker Sound Theater, and it just fell as flat for my audience as it did in the general.
Yeah,
but then
because it's a terrible movie.
Yeah, but then everyone had to pretend like, "Hey, thanks for coming to show us your movie." That was
super awesome movie. That's so good.
I didn't really know at the time what he would become, but
Paul, we're missing out. He's about to reveal the
right, we're curing cancer. I forgot.
Yes.
Pardon me.
Yeah.
I'd rather not say at the moment.
What?
Yeah, no, Art. So Art asked him, "What is this?" He's like, "They have this thing that does this." Art asked him, "What is it?"
Purifies the blood. Better not tell us.
Oh no.
Meanwhile, in the same episode, we spent a good 2 minutes of the show describing a website that was broken.
Yes. Yeah.
That we can talk about.
No. Shh.
Simply because I'm still developing the research on it, and if it's okay with you, I'd rather not say. It's on.
That's good advice. Don't talk about something until you've published.
Yeah.
Good advice for scientists out there.
Yep.
The periodic table of elements. It's known, and when I stumbled upon it, I was quite.
It's just an element. It's in the periodic table.
Yeah. And before he was saying he didn't. It's not like he discovered this. He's like, I'm working with Western medicine people who have been using this.
Yeah. Is it gold?
Well, can't say.
Surprised because again, I'm coming at this from the mythological point of view.
How did you stumble on it?
I was reading a cipher from a coded parchment from southern France, where many believe.
As you do. I was reading a cipher from the coded thing.
Yeah. Okay. All
right. Well, Heathen Queen, y'all are dead to me. No reasons, just vibes.
What?
I'm
That
sorry.
seems harsh.
Well, I feel like we are sharing the best of vibes.
Yeah, I really felt there was a connection between us.
Oh.
That the secrets of Jesus were taken after the crucifixion, and it was through my decoding of that parchment that I was able to find this. And by the way, I'm going to London at the end of the month to talk with several other Holy Grail researchers about my findings to sort of validate it, because it's really quite phenomenal.
Nice, Vishanti. Nice reference. The Vonich manuscript. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it, but
we all know the best Grail researchers are in London.
Yep, absolutely. And they all know the cure for cancer, which was in the. Okay, yeah.
We have the picture of Jesus shortly before his resurrection. We get it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vishanti, by the way. Thank you.
This mythological research says.
That's really exciting.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
All right, stay right where you are. We'll be back. I guess we're going to try this again. You heard what I just said at the top of the hour.
All right, Dave. So, are you in for a little bit longer, or are we?
I'm all in on this. I'm
okay.
I am like legitimately. I want to hear where this is going. So I'm good for the.
Okay. All right. We're
goal.
good.
Thank you very much, Rachel.
Rachel, we seek the Holy Grail. That's right. We do. Answer the questions 3.
Holy Grail. I wish you know what? I've always wanted to roll R's. I could never really do it. Can you do it, Paul?
Grail?
Kind of.
Not really.
Grail. I had a Scottish grandfather who could really, and I've just never, it's a constant source of shame to me. I'm letting.
Yeah,
and he's my namesake, Grandfather Dave. I was named after him. Can't do the full brogue like he could.
We German Mennonites we don't have that in us.
Mm-mm.
Sort of summarizing.
Excellent. Yes.
Was that excellent?
I think so.
I have this feeling that when people like yourself come on the air and talk about the Anunnaki and talk about our origins, you tend to kind of pussyfoot around what you're really saying. What you're really saying is, look, folks, it wasn't God of the Bible as we know it. It was an alien race. I mean, that is what we're saying here.
That is what we were saying. Yeah.
And the myths that you're talking about can be applicable to biblical occurrences or biblical descriptions and or aliens, either one.
Yeah, exactly. But
Either one. It's
one.
either the Bible or aliens or both.
At least Art finally got him like nailed down to something. God bless Art Bell. So just throw people keep pussyfooting around this, like you are doing, is the unsaid subtext. What they mean is this, right? Yeah, this is what we're saying. Okay, good. Now we're going to move on. Yeah,
not aliens so much in the sense that they're separate from us. I mean, what emerges from these stories is that we're part of the same family. So it's not so much a separateness issue as it is what they came here on a rescue mission. And they were here to save souls. They were here to rescue people. They were here to deliver sacred teachings that will enable each of us to increase our spiritual vision, our spiritual vibration, our spiritual abilities, if you will.
Okay, William, should we think of these who will return, should we think of them as gods with small g's, or simply would a more contemporary explanation be what they are as ETs with knowledge and ability so far beyond our own that they are as gods to us?
Right. The Celtic people had a wonderful description of them. They called them, with a small g, gods, but not gods.
Yeah, so in other words, I can imagine a technological civilization.
Did you have a thought?
Just this guy keeps not answering questions.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure. Are they? Yeah, that's right. Are they basically?
Are these gods or new technology advanced people? Well, they're gods, but not gods. Okay, so cool. Yeah.
Very simply, thousands or millions of years ahead of us, as having evolved so far that to us they would absolutely be gods, period.
Right. Perhaps the person that would best understand the myths and the stories that I'm describing tonight is Dr. Michio Kaku.
Dr. Kaku, yeah.
He casually mentioned the other night that he's saying, wow, if we could harness these energies, we could drill holes in space.
That's right.
I've got 450 pages of myths and legends of the beings that drilled holes in space in the ancient worlds, and this was the device that they used to do it with.
Dr. Kaku, for those who don't know, describes a series of civilizations, levels.
Always love the argument from page count.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, if you only had 350 pages, I'm not going to take you serious, but 450, obviously you have aliens drilling.
We're at zero. We use burn coal and oil and stuff of the planet, the raw stuff. Use the resources here that are.
What are you nodding your head at over there?
I'm looking at Nova Saber's comment there, and I'm like, yeah, I bet Ezekiel's wheel is going to come up. That seems like the kind of thing. Yeah. Like I called HARP, I bet Nova Saber just called that. Yeah. Yep.
Are available to us that we can drive over or get a bulldozer and take and use. And then, of course, Type 1, which will harness the sun. Type 2, which will harness multiple suns and knock holes in space and do all these things. And we can all imagine they're out there. And what William is saying is that one of these, Type 1 or Type 2, by the way, would you ascribe a type to them based on the Kaku descriptions, William?
Yeah, probably somewhere around the Type 2.
Type 2, huh? They were here actually previous to a couple thousand years ago, and
I have zero idea. I assume they're talking. I can't remember the scale where it's like Type 1 civilizations, Type 2, Type 3, and it's like one is.
Oh, like from Star Trek lore?
No. This is an actual sort of anthropological stuff where it's like Type 1 is like I don't remember the scales, but one is like level can you value all the resources of like the planet, and then all the resources of a solar system, right? It's like a measure of civilizations, and it's like if you hit Type 3, when Earth like expands off and can, sort of start directly harvesting energy from the sun and go, there'll be a Type 3 or 4 or whatever. So Type 1 is like there's one. It's like, well, this is just like a basic hunter-gatherer society, and it's like societies that go up, and it's how much of the resources of your environment. I have no idea if that's what they're referring to. That's the only type 1, type 2, type 3 that I'm familiar with in terms of societies. But I don't know this guy they're talking about, Kenshu or Kochu, whatever they say.
Kaku. So this is what, like, you're Dr. Johnny Fever here. Like the further in we're drinking, you're getting sharper and sharper with you're picking up my things. And I'm now far enough in this, like, they're talking about Dr. Kaku and type 2. Tee. Like, I'm just thinking that it's
2 means poop.
That's where I'm at. He said Kaku, which sounds dirty for no good reason.
I didn't even catch that one. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
They left.
Also, 0 people except old men like you and me are picking up the WKRP references you're throwing down. Paul, you're fucking ruining our channel, old man.
Yeah.
Talk about Imagine Dragons.
That's no. I saw it on TikTok, Dave. That's how. Yeah.
Man, we had a good time playing League of Legends the other day, right? Fortnite, am I right?
I'll do the floss,
Hashtag
but I'm in my chair,
viral.
so you can't see it. I'm doing the.
Left a machine.
They left a device. It's called the Pillar of Osiris, the Tree of Peace, the Tree of Life, various names for it. They left multiple copies of it as well.
Of the tree?
It had been carted around the ancient world, the Mideast, Iran, Iraq. It did a tour of duty in France, first in southern France, then in Chartres Cathedral in northern France, about 60 miles from Paris.
Right.
It came to Mexico for a time and was stored at a place called Tula, where the white prophet lived. Then it appears to, at least either one copy or another copy, went back across the Atlantic.
Okay, now.
Okay, so is he talking about the Tree of Life? So there was the Tree of Knowledge.
I don't know, Paul. I don't fucking know. He threw the Tree of Life out there, but he could be talking about the gold pillar again. Like
in the tree of in the Garden of Eden, there was the Tree of Life and there was the Tree of Knowledge. And apparently the Tree of Life, they made copies and it took a tour. It's kind of like the royal crown jewels. They just all right.
But I don't know. Oh,
all right,
Kate. My name's right on the show notes. I feel like now you're just being purposefully belligerent.
Well, everyone
call me sidekick or like Paul's good boy or something. I don't know.
Is it better or worse than like all the apologists who mispronounce my name deliberately every single time?
Pelagia?
That's one. That's it's every possible way you can imagine.
Paul Asholio?
All right.
I'm literally out of liquor.
Yeah, right, and I'm actually out of mix, so now I'm just drinking straight rum, which isn't good.
I mean, that's what I've been doing all night. There is no price per drink, John and Don.
No, there's no price per drink. We don't do that anymore because our doctor said stop.
Yeah.
How much money per drink? So, but what we will do is we drink associated to the level of the cleverness and the charm and the inspiration and or disgust. All those are fine.
Mm-hmm.
But because you sound like you might be new here, John, welcome.
Welcome. I don't have anything in my glass. I don't have anything left in my bottle.
Uh-oh.
But if you tip enough, I will go get
Hold on. Guess what? Keith Rowland, my webmaster, just got a drawing.
Ooh, the webmaster got a shout out.
We've got it up on the website now. We've got a drawing.
Jamie, look up.
But it's a drawing. It's not a photograph.
Right. And this is a drawing of a composite image of several different takes on what this device looked like. And are you looking at it now?
I am.
Okay, you can sort of see the perspective of how large this device is by the standing men that are on top of a platform there. The men are about, let's say they're 5, 6 feet tall. This device is clearly 4 or 5 times as tall as they are.
Uh-huh, I see that.
Made of solid gold. The device, its dimension shifting ability is noted. There's what's called the Uraeus serpent up at the top of the device, and that
For those of you in the chat who've been waiting for the Stargates, it sounds like we're here now. Sounds like we've gotten to the dimension folding between the pillars.
Egyptian tradition always signified
if it's
some
made
sort of a dimension shift.
Like a gold block. That's just like
there's no parts to
gold.
It's kind of like that's exactly. There's no mechanism apparently. It's just if you have
If
gold
you just
pillars,
make the gold right.
if
I
there's
guess.
enough of it in columnar form, non-phallic columnar form.
That's my favorite comment of the night. DQ. Just Dune with an exclamation mark. That's it.
Dune.
Dune.
Someone's
just Dune.
someone's maybe behind in the,
yeah,
in the
because
stream, but that's
was quite a while ago. Yeah.
So this is an internal matter now, apparently. Among
Regios
people
and
in the
Heathen Queen have their own. They're playing their own game.
chat. Okay, fair enough.
That's fine. They're consenting adults. They can do what they like.
Yeah. We are here to investigate.
Yeah,
Get
we're
to the
here to do
bottom of-
serious science.
Okay,
Serious.
but this is a drawing. Now, where is this device now?
It was in Abydos. I believe that the device now is probably in America.
In America?
In 1934, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt sent a group of agents to Mongolia in search of this device. I have...
He did. How do you know that?
This was in the biography of his Secretary of Agriculture, Henry A. Wallace.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did the Secretary of Agriculture have a biography?
Well, I mean, he could. I mean, I don't know anything about that gentleman or what he accomplished.
No, but
anybody can have a
that
biography.
seems-
Yeah.
I suppose.
Maybe he did great and terrible things, Paul. You don't know anything about the Secretary of
Maybe.
Agriculture through the
He was
the
also
subject of-
he was also a serial killer, Paul, you dummy. Don't you
Yeah.
know?
Don't you know? Yeah.
My book, One Foot in Atlantis. And Henry Wallace believed that
But-
Jesus was reincarnated.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So Abydos is in Egypt, I think. Am I not wrong?
I believe that is correct, but I couldn't say for sure.
So apparently
'Cause he
there's
referenced it
a
earlier.
time skip there. Somehow it got to Mongolia because FDR sent an expedition.
No, but
to
remember,
Mongolia.
all Mexicans are from Mongolia. Remember?
Yeah. Okay. I
And
guess
so
yeah.
they took it with them to
After
America.
but they
And,
never.
and he also earlier established that Mexico is America as well.
Right. As far as I know, the Mongolians never reached Egypt.
Not
That was
according
never
to
part of the Mongol
Oh,
Empire.
right. Egypt. I thought you meant Mexico, because clearly this gentleman has let us
Well,
know.
no,
that,
we all know.
we all know
were in Mexico,
that
but
Mexicans are are descended from Jesus could have used a rocket pack if I drew it. That's I also enjoyed.
But
like
see,
the art,
Bradley,
the
you didn't
contempt
draw
in
it.
arts.
You saw a picture of Jesus using a rocket pack in a book from France from some point. That gives it authenticity. Yeah.
I did like how he had it because he was describing vividly and with great gusto this illustrate or not. We don't know it's an illustration.
Yeah.
This what he called a picture of the device.
I was
Art's-
actually
he's-
Googling when he was talking. I was trying to find the illustration.
He's
but
letting
I
them
couldn't
roll,
find
but
it.
Art's eventually looks at this. For the audience's sake, you're talking about a drawing, man. Like
Yeah.
this isn't a
You've made
It's not-
this is-
I know the
yeah.
audience can't see
Yeah.
it, but this is someone scribbled this.
Yeah. As you can see in this drawing, I'm riding a panther, and many beautiful women are very interested in me. Oh, yeah, I see that in the drawing here. Yes. Yeah. Wow. Heathen Queen's getting
cheers,
just
Heathen.
hostile here.
Well, I've already known this about Heathen Queen, so that was all right.
Took a turn.
Took a turn.
Took a turn quite a while ago. Yeah.
Living in Mongolia in 1934. He convinced FDR that this was so, and they sent agents to Mongolia in search of Jesus. I've got what I call a smoking gun letter in my book that's from Henry A. Wallace to the person in charge of that mission, stating that they await the casket, the sacred, most precious casket. This device was not only called the Pillar of Osiris, it was called the Casket of Osiris, Osiris being the name of an Egyptian god being. The only real substantial proof that I have heard that relates that they were successful in finding this device is that in 1935, FDR ordered the Great Seal stamped on the back of the $1 bill. That Great Seal is the logo of the Egyptian god being Osiris.
It is, yes.
It depicts the return of the Christ or Messiah to the top of the pyramid, the capstone on the pyramid.
So therefore, they found it. Like even if I accept everything up to this point, the fact that FDR put a certain stamp on there
Yeah.
can only mean that they found it. It can't mean that they're looking for it.
But
It
they
can't
found
mean
the
that they
Stargate
believe
in
it's
Mongolia.
thing. They clearly found,
because he put an Osiris-based thing on the Also, I saw a who was it? Stephanie Helms. Henry Wallace was FDR's vice president for his third term. So there you go. So
so not just the agriculture minister.
Later on became so. There you go. A person of note.
Apologies.
Neither Paul or I are American, so we're not.
We are Canadian, so we are not obligated to.
I suspect most
know
Americans
who the vice
also
presidents
would not have known that fact. But yes, so that's fantastic. There's a seal that's kind of Osiris-ish on the back of this bill. So we found this in Mongolia. Ipso facto.
This predates the Nick Cage National Treasure film franchise, so he's ahead of his time.
Yeah.
That device was probably recovered in America.
By the way, are you aware that in Egypt, coming up on 2000, as 2000 comes upon us, they're going to replace the gold capstone on the Great Pyramid? Did you know that?
I did know that, and I'm not quite sure what to make of it. I'm not sure what purpose that's going to serve, because...
You know what else is happening that you may or may not know about? I am friends with the director of antiquities in Egypt.
Oh, wait. Last episode, he totally shut down someone who talked about Egypt to tell a story about how he got to go have a personal tour of some of the pyramids.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened. Yeah. Bart is bored. He's just let me tell you about my travel log here.
Yeah, let me tell you about the time I went to Egypt.
Dr. Zahi Hawass, I know you know who he is.
Certainly.
Dr. Hawass has said he is getting ready to close the Great Pyramid forever. Had you heard that?
I heard that too.
I feel like that's probably not within his authority.
Probably not.
That's a sealed for all time. To put some... Yeah. Signed Dr. Yolis.
Thing together here. The gold capstone goes back on the pyramid. The pyramid closes forever. And the Sphinx is intimately involved in all of this, so there are many people who, of course, believe that the Great Pyramid itself was a communication device or a channel for souls, if you will. Just as you were describing this object that we see on my website. All connected?
All connected.
Yeah, I knew it.
In fact, this is going to step on a couple of toes, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway.
Stepping on toes.
The word cross did not appear in the original Bible text. The word was rasto, which means pillar. Staro is another Greek word. It's the mirror image of rasto. Staro means sphinx.
Cross didn't appear. I'm trying to think of back to the Greek stuff that I learned. Did Jesus die? No, he died on a cross in the Gospels.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was trying to think if it was maybe in the Gospels just crucified, but no, there was definitely crossed. I think I might call bullshit on that one.
We had a Lester B. Pearson reference in the chat.
Just
throw it out. Somebody flexing on their Canadian knowledge. They spelled Pearson wrong because Pearson spelled P-E-A-R, not P-I-E-R. But still an impressive name to drag out to.
So I forget if it's my MLA or my MP. His name is John A. McDonald.
No.
Yeah. That's his legal name, but he totally trades on. The A is always in there, right? It's like, I'm John A. McDonald. And then everyone's like, I associate that with positive political things. Let me vote for you.
For people who don't outside, that would be like the Canadian equivalent of being like, my name's George Washington, right? It's like that's the Canadian equivalent to John A. McDonald,
And bringing it back to other old references, it is the old Distinguished Gentleman Eddie Murphy movie where he had the same name as the previous incumbent.
Yes.
Have you seen that movie?
Yes. Goes to Washington. I can't remember, just because he has the same name as the old congressman.
So he has the same name as something Johnson or whatever it was. Yeah. And he ran on, he never put just the name boo-doo-doo. And that's how anyway.
Yeah.
We are way off track now.
We sure are.
You're right. That's going to step on a lot of toes. But, you know,
the Rosicrucians are the ones that started this message, so I'm just kind of repeating this just for what it's worth. I realize the controversy in some of these statements, but I think it's important that this...
Do you?
kind of information be put out because it's been suppressed for so long.
Well, I'm definitely willing to let it go out. I just don't want to pussyfoot around and end up not having anybody understand what we're saying. And what we're saying is very profound indeed. Somebody just wrote this. Now I am concerned. William spoke the word Ima. Is it Ima? Ima, yes. I believe, as meaning terror.
Mm-hmm.
When I was given my mantra in the TM Society, I was sworn to secrecy. The mantra is Ima. Could you ask him about the word, please? Thank you.
So what we've learned here, Paul,
yes,
don't
Dave.
bother swearing Art Bell to secrecy because he's going to fucking bring it up on national radio. Yeah.
Off track and found these nuts. I feel like the whole chat has gone off the rails.
Yeah,
and
there's like a whole other thing going on over there.
You know, but I'm willing to put it on screen if they're donating generously.
Yeah. Because you know what, Paul, we all have a price, and our price is literally $1. If you put that in,
well, that's just better than the first episode where our price was a little bit too low, and you and I were nearly dead. So this is better.
Yeah.
And actually, this one's far more interesting. I'm actually quite.
I am enjoying that first guest. Was not he legitimately angered me. Like that. It was just such fucking nonsense throwing out. This guy is at least. I'm highly amused and yeah.
So yeah, for those who I think I elucidated a little bit. So when Dave and I are looking for the guests, what we try and do is listen to just the first few minutes. We don't want to have the whole thing under our belt. We want
this to be a legitimate reaction to what's happening, not a pre-prepared.
So we didn't know that this was going to be as delicious as it came out to be. So we're fortunate tonight.
Yes.
The only elaboration that I have on that is that's what the word means, and it's important that in these mythological languages and texts and so forth, the vowels are interchangeable, and that's how we're able to expand the meaning.
No, the vowels are not specified.
Yeah, that's totally different.
That's a very different. So and really only ancient Hebrew. I think maybe Coptic. There's a few of them, but
there's multiple languages where it's they don't.
Right, but the vowels are unspecified. That does not mean they're interchangeable.
There's also various ancient languages where it's like there's no direct translation of the word they're using, so you can use like the famous example Greek, right, where it's like agape. What are three? Agape, eros, and phileo are all translated as love in English.
Right.
But they all have very different meanings in Greek because there is no English word to directly translate to the things. And that happens all the time when you're translating from one language to another. But that doesn't mean that this word can mean any of these things. No, they had a very specific thing they meant when they originally wrote this and went, you're just, okay, whatever. Anyways. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Citizen Gold. Very profound for the easily impressed.
That will be on my tombstone someday.
Yeah. Dave and I are easily impressed as well.
Yeah, I'm very profound for the easily impressed.
Meanings from Ima being terror to also meaning Ima, moon, and virgin. So that's my answer there.
What precisely do you believe will occur when the King of Terror returns? What's going to happen?
Well, this is based upon Egyptian mythology. They would enact, and this is something I study very closely because the pillar was involved.
But I mean, what's going to happen in modern America? What's going to happen in the world when the King of Terror returns? Cutting to the chase here.
I think that's a good question.
Thank you.
That's a very good question because it's probably, I mean, if the founding fathers are right, if people like Sir Francis Bacon are correct, and if FDR's beliefs are correct,
yes,
the second.
The founding fathers wrote extensively on the end times. Don't you remember?
Yeah. If you just went from I've studied this extensively in Egyptian mythology to, well, if the founding fathers are right, I feel like steps 3 and 4 are missing in our.
That's what they don't tell you in that Hamilton movie that they
Again,
were.
I feel like this guy could probably sue Nick Cage or whatever movie studio.
That's
Treasure,
that's the National Treasure people.
Yeah, there's money on the table for you there. Talk to some lawyer about this, because
Coming will happen in America. America is the land of destiny. It's the Holy Land
oh
that
my
this
god,
event will take place in. The King of Terror may resurrect the King of Mongolia.
This is Christian nationalism 20 years earlier.
we're just about to hear who the King of Terror is going to resurrect.
All right,
There's
King of
another
Terror.
king.
Let's hear. And it's supposed to happen in 1999.
Yes,
Mongolia at the
exactly,
Great Pyramid,
exactly.
but the focal point of this activity, the construction of what they describe as the New Jerusalem, the new city of peace, is to be in America.
What a surprise that's going to be for Israel, huh?
What a big surprise, and I'm sorry to say it, but when you track the history of Israel, of Jerusalem, Jerusalem is named after original cities in India, in Mongolia, and other places. Jerusalem is...
What's your objection?
I'm not an objection. I'm just trying to, again, literally trying to follow this gentleman's chain of logic, and I'm having a really hard time going from point A to...
He's saying, so all of the stuff written about end times that's supposed to happen in Jerusalem is clearly going to happen in America.
Yeah.
Because Jerusalem was named after a city in India.
Okay.
What
So
don't you get?
I guess I wasn't listening good enough. That's my problem. Don't have my good ears on
simply
today.
city of peace.
Etymology is how we solve all these problems.
Yeah.
And it's been built and rebuilt over the centuries. And the site of Solomon's Temple, the Temple Mount, which is the
Okay, but again, we digress a little, William. What exactly is going to happen when the King of Terror returns?
They're gonna embark on the creation of a new city of peace, which appears to be sort of a temple school where people will be able to come to absorb the new teachings that will align us with the central point in heaven, which is where the ancients believed our souls came from. So, to put it simply, we're going to see the construction of it's described in the book of Revelation as a 1,500-mile square city where people will come from all over the world to perhaps even have a meet and greet with this figure, and this is where this 1,000 years of peace is going to originate.
So, the arrival of the King of Terror is the beginning of the 1,000 years of peace.
Yes.
How, we live... Let's talk about this for a second. We live in a day and age now where there are all kinds of claimed messiahs and figures and cults and on and on and on. It's a really cynical time we live in. And anybody, any person, any being that would claim to be the King of Terror returning, how can you imagine that he would be regarded seriously in modern America today? How?
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, it is, talk about an against all odds kind of mission. And we'll just have to see. I mean, this is where, the possibility exists of using mass communication and so forth. But you especially look at what just happened with Clinton. I mean, imagine what would happen if you have this figure, the kind of media attention, media frenzy that would be hoisted upon this figure and so forth. It would be...
Oh, but...
I'm either not drunk enough or too drunk, or option C, this man makes no sense and it's just throwing out random shit.
So this is the first time where I thought Art's question didn't make any sense. It's like, well, if the King of Terror comes, why are people to take him seriously? And I just got to think that if a man comes in the sky and reveals himself to the whole world, and is the King of Terror.
Yeah. If you take...
I feel like
revelations in any way as being true or whatever. It's like any of these things start happening. I'm pretty sure the whole fucking world would be like, oh shit, this is
right.
This
I feel like
legit.
taking him serious. It's not like whatever, dude. I'm gonna keep kicking on my phone. So that's not the poignant question, but he answered it in absolutely no way.
No. Somehow Clinton, I don't know what
right.
Clinton.
If you just think about, well, first of all, he's like, well, that opens up the whole thing, and maybe he's going to use mass media, but yada yada. Like, well, okay, like you, Prince of Terror, that's fine. But then, but if you think about what happened to Clinton, and then sliding on to the next thing, I'm assuming, I forget my chronology of the Clintons. I forget if the Monica Lewinsky scandal had happened yet at this point or not,
or the what was the property management thing that happened previous to
not
that?
The whatever gate it was that was where we started using gate again.
Yeah.
No, but that was like we had Watergate, and then we had like 30 years, and then we used it for the Clintons, and now it's for everything. I forget.
No, it's for
anyway.
everything. But yes, but none of those were like particularly. It was like it was in the news because it was the president doing things, but it wasn't like there was anything, more so than like paying attention to Reagan or
sure.
Like I can't think of. I'm not American, so maybe I'm missing something, but I can't think of anything particularly that happened in Bill Clinton's terms in office that was like, oh my goodness, look at how noteworthy or crazy or something, this person's cult of personality-ish. I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to say, I guess.
No, I don't.
Like so many things. Yeah.
He's just avoiding the question. He's looking at his notes, and he
just keeps throwing crazy shit out there. It's like somebody who's like watched a couple of YouTube videos about a thing, right? And will be like throwing out points. Have you ever had a debate or conversation with somebody and it's like whenever you press them on something, they just bring up another. It's like, oh, well, what about this thing? It's like, okay, yeah, cool. But what about that other thing that I asked you about and went? Well, but, also Supreme Court, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, yeah, but that has nothing to do with the first thing we were just talking about. You just picked up talking points from some kind of show somewhere, and now you're just throwing them out there. That's what this feels like, 100%. This guy just got talking points that he's just kind of throwing out, but doesn't really have anything deeper to go into on any of them.
So, like in a way, if you were doing like, what's our guest name? Harold?
Henry William.
Does Henry pass the Turing test? If we were to do a Turing test with Henry, because you'd be like, well, no, the AI is just taking words from Wikipedia and throwing them at me now.
Yes, this is like AI generated.
Right.
It's like I don't know if one of my new favorite things is a thing called InspiroBot, which is AI generated inspirational posters.
Nice.
And I love them. Yeah. Rachel Harper, you made a very good point. We missed the super chat going back. Yeah.
I was going to say, this isn't quite a Gish Gallop, but I missed it. It was super chat. Guy has the response timing vibe of a grifter.
Yeah. Exactly, right? Where it's like, yeah. Don't worry about this diamond ring. Just hey, look at this. Look at this great thing. Look at this over here. Look at this over here. Anyways, $50. You just go this, it'll be fine. Just look over here. Yeah. Used cars.
That answers your question, which you don't remember anymore. Yay. Yeah. All right.
How would we know that it was the real McCoy?
Well, that's something that each of us are going to have to decide. If we look at the Book of Revelation, it's divided into 22 chapters. And that series of 22s appears in numerous times. I'm going to digress just for a moment. I'll get right back to it. The 22 appears, there's 22 human chromosomes, there's 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, 22 cards, major cards in the Tarot deck, which means wheel.
Right.
That journey begins with the card 0, the Fool, ends at the Sphinx, card number 22. When you cut the Tarot deck in half, which is what you're supposed to do, you end up with 2 11s. Okay? You talked about the 11-11 doorway.
Yep.
Now, let's apply the 11 to the Hebrew alphabet. The 11th letter of the Hebrew alphabet is K. So now we have 2 Ks. I believe that the story, the arrival of the King of Terror, is the fork in the road. It's the Y of the 2K of the Book of Revelation.
Y2K.
Some of us will go left, some of us will go right.
Back we go now to William Henry.
This is so good.
William, there are many.
This is so good, Paul. This Sweet candy.
Boom. Y2K.
There we go.
The show notes promised it was going to be Y2K, and here we
This
go.
guy needs to have like a fucking whiteboard where he's like writing this all out.
I would love to see a diagram, an elaborate diagram of this conversation.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Yeah.
Okay, Y2K. So what you heard there was the again, I transitioned through the commercial break because they just play copyright music, which I'm not allowed to play. So
Yeah.
what I just heard was they were back from the commercial break.
Oh.
Are you ready to wind it up, or are we done?
I mean, we've just hit the we're getting into 3 hours. It's very late where you are.
It's late where I am, but I'm
how much time is left in this
Oh, well, you don't want to know. So as you recall,
so I'm asking, like, do we have enough time to do? Should we do just a second episode on this? Because
are roughly roughly halfway through the audio file.
Okay, well then I feel like this is a good time maybe to call.
Okay.
We're almost 3 hours in, and there's so many layers to this.
It's too good to not do a part 2, right?
Yeah, like there's so many layers, and I just can't wait to just bite into it and get this.
Dave and I have not yet got there yet. When you get deep enough into it, Art opens the line.
Everyone was promised Stargates, and we deeply apologize that this man has managed to talk through half of the episode.
But we got some Stargates, right? Because he talked about the pillars, opening dimensional portals.
In the words of P.T. Barnum, always leave them wanting more. There will be Stargates, but you're going to have to tune in next time to hear them. That is scarily accurate, Heathen Queen. We're not going to talk about it, but
all right. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's a good place. I'm out of the alcohols. I'm out of the.
I feel like this is good. I mean, we're already 3 hours in.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah.
So this is the time of the show where normally I would have my guests plug their channel, but this is Dave's channel for now.
Yeah. So make sure you check out Toast to Toast AM on Apologia.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Joe. Stargate. All right, so stay tuned. So you've heard of her. If you've hung around with us this long, you will want to hang to us next episode.
Absolutely.
Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell.
Do we want to try and pin some kind of rough date down? Are we thinking?
Well, it's roughly every 2 weeks.
2 weeks, roughly Friday-ish, something in there. Was usually
I mean, whatever 2 weeks from. Although that's Canadian Thanksgiving, so I'm not sure how that will go.
Actually, I might be traveling that weekend.
Yeah,
but
there might be. So that's Canadian Thanksgiving. So we'll see, but somewhere around that time,
if we bumped it back an hour, a day, or something like that.
We may not be the exact day, but we're not that precise on this channel. So we appreciate you. We appreciate all these super chats. We appreciate everyone hanging with us. We hope you provided you with some distraction from whatever's happening in your life that may need distraction. Absolutely. And that you've learned something about something.
Be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to each other.
Good advice.
All right, everyone. Until next time.
Good night. Good
luck.
Use mugs. Good night, Paul.